What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back with another episode of the Shop Podcast. Yes, we are back today. The Shop Podcast 321. Appreciate all you guys. I already see people filling up in the chat. Shout out to everybody coming through today. And before I even get started and really get the ball rolling on anything today, I just want to give a huge shout out to just the community in general. If you guys know, most of you guys here, we're very close to the community. So you guys know I had a bit of a family emergency, and I just appreciate all of the prayers and thoughts that everybody sent out for my wife this over this weekend. It means more than more than anything to me that you guys support just me and my family and even care to that capacity. So thank you guys so much. She is currently resting. She feels a lot better. So I just appreciate that. I wanted to make sure I got that out the way first because that's really the main thing here. So thank you, every single one of you, for all of the thoughts and prayers and well wishes from my wife. So appreciate you guys, man. I'll never be able to repay you guys back for stuff like that. And you guys never really cease to amaze me. So thank you for that, all of the prayers and everything. But in moving on from that, we do have a phenomenal show that we're going to put together for you guys today. Got a lot to talk about, a lot of big topics this week. We're definitely getting the Forza stuff, just to reiterate that point, Fuzz, because like I said, I had some people asking me, is Fuzz getting into Forza? Yes, we're leaving a whole section. I'm leaving really Fuzz as much time as he actually wants to talk about Forza because I never know where he's going to go.
So I can take the night off. We're good.
In a way, right? Like in a way, we can really chop this show in half and leave the whole second half of us to talk about Forza. To be honest, right? Just to be efficient about it. But it's cool. We'll get into it at some point, chat. I know you guys are dying to hear Fuzz's takes, and we're gonna get to it. I promise you. But let me go ahead and get around the horn here. See, check in with my guys, man. Shout out to everybody in chat. Taylor, Shown to Mod of the Year. Relski, everybody hanging out with us. I saw Ghost Fixer, Game Pass Dad, all friends and family. Appreciate you guys. Retweet the link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast 321 is live. Come get that good gaming fix every single weekend here at the shop. What's up, Poison? How you doing, bro? Appreciate you dropping in on us, man. Thank you guys so much. But we're gonna start with you, Pong. How you been, man? How's your week been? What you been playing, brother? I miss you so much, man.
Yeah, man. This is crazy. First of all love and continued prayers for the wifey and to the family, to you, PTK. I know, like I told you behind the scenes, been there, done that, and I know what it's like. I'm sure a lot of people do. It's not fun, no matter what the situation is. But when it's scary time, it's really hard. So, man, I'm just gonna continue to pray and send you guys energy so that it continues to get better. So it's really nice to hear that she's at home and resting. So I'm glad to be here tonight for sure. It's been 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks. It's been 3 weeks because I've had 2 weeks off. Like I don't even remember. I think I missed one show prior to that, and then I missed 2 weeks in a row.
In like 3 years, right. You missed one show. Yeah,
right, exactly. Headache the first week and then my cousin's wedding last week, man. It's insane. So I've missed you guys again. I didn't have any podcasts last Saturday because, of course I was driving and then the wedding and everything else. So I missed you and you guys both. And that throws my whole weekend off. So it's good to be back here on a Saturday night. There has been a lot of gaming news going on, a lot of good stuff happening, a lot of good positivity that's continuing to roll with the release of Forza, which obviously we're going to let Fuzzy get all of his bars off that he needs to about Forza. But I myself actually did step away from Starfield right now for Forza, which I didn't think was going to happen. I thought I was only going to dip my toes in it. In fact, I thought I was going to wait until the official release. I didn't even I wasn't even considering buying the early premium upgrade pack. And then I started seeing people talk about it, and I started seeing some stuff about it.
FOMO, and I was like, kicked in, huh?
Kind of. It was more so, then I looked at the premium upgrade and I'm like, well, I always buy the VIP package. I always, the car packs are included in that. And I'm like, I do that anyway. It's on sale, right? I'm like, let's just get it done.
Everything was just leaning towards you getting it, huh?
So I picked it up and I actually traveled to New Zealand. So I was playing it on Wednesday night.
All right. Red-eyed in New Zealand, huh?
Oh, yes. I'm going to do that. Whenever that's an option, I'm taking that flight, baby. I'm calling up the ticket counter and I'm saying 1 to New Zealand, please. So I did that. And I like I said, I was going to dip my toes in it and then I was going to head on back to Starfield and just found myself absolutely loving the driving so much. Like this is like I love Horizon. I love Motorsport pretty evenly.
Yeah.
I've been playing for Motorsport forever. I'm a sim guy. I used to play GT back in the day on my PlayStations. So I've been a sim guy, but I loved what Horizon brought to the table. Obviously, I'm a big Need for Speed guy back in the day too. So I like both. But it's been so long since we've had a new sim racer on the Xbox side from Turn 10 that I was just blown away by the driving specifically. I have my nitpicks with the rest of it. Fuzzy's got some of the same nitpicks. We kind of talked about this on Ultimate last night, but I've got some nitpicks with it. It's not complete. There's a lot to go into this, but that's what this game is. It's a platform. It's a game as a service. So it's 2023. I think we're long past the point of going, oh, why is there not everything in here? Well, that's the way most games are nowadays. So not excusing Turn 10, but I'm just saying what they did put their effort into as far as accessibility goes, as far as sound goes, and as far as the physics that they did in this game. I absolutely fell in love when I started driving. And I had such a great time racing and had just such a great time trying out different cars right away that, yeah, I've been on Forza ever since. I've been playing Forza nonstop. Pretty crazy, man. Like I said, I wasn't expecting it. I'm going to be heading back to Starfield here at some point. The fam is planning on playing some other games. We're going to try out Redfall and Darktide this weekend as well.
But then I'll be heading into both of those.
Yeah. We're gonna get the gang back together. We'll see how many people actually want to, but we're gonna try those out. But yeah, then I'll be hopping back into Starfield.
I'm in.
Cool.
So,
More the merrier. You know how this goes, PTK.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much been it. Forza, I dabbled in a little Gotham Knights because it dropped into Game Pass, so I just want to see that 30 frames is an ugly 30 on console. That compared to Starfield, that is an ugly 30. People who say 30 is 30, no. There's difference.
30s are not created equal. Not all 30s are equal.
No. But overall, the game is fun for a guy who is not a superhero nut or anything like that anymore, and doesn't necessarily care about those types of games. The loot aspect, all that kind of stuff speaks to me. So I was actually having a pretty good time in it. I'm going to download it on the PC and try it in 60 frames or above to make, to see how it actually plays. But I dabbled in that. And then actually, I don't know if we're going to talk about it tonight or not, brothers, but I said this, I don't know, a couple months ago, maybe a month ago. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is just it's just DLC. It's glorified DLC that's being brought as a full package.
Absolutely.
I had zero. I mean, I got so many games this year. I got zero interest in Modern Warfare 3.
So did they get you as well too? They tried to get you with the 2009 nostalgia, with the Eminem trailer and the Doritos and the Mountain Dew.
None of that, but their actual next thing that they did this week, I started watching gameplay from all the influencers and streamers they got out there. I started watching multiplayer maps. And yeah, I re-downloaded Call of Duty again.
Hook, line, sinker.
I bought season 6, so I get the skins that are going to carry over because I wanted Spawn and I wanted Black Cell. So I got all that package, and now I'm even looking at pre-ordering it so I can jump in the beta early next week. Yeah, Call of Duty got me. Modern Warfare 3. That nostalgia, seeing those maps redone, seeing how much. And I'm not this hardcore dude. Like, I don't play like that. I don't look for that stuff. But watching people slide cancel again, watching the movement, watching the mantling, watching how the guns are operating, I was like, oh, good God. Yeah, we're back. We're back. We're going to do another run on Call of Duty. Let's go. So yeah, that was pretty much my week, man. Outside of, obviously podcasting and talking about all this gaming news, because Friday the 13th next week might be a big week. So we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun.
Definitely. Yeah. Monday might be a big day too, if you know what I'm talking about. So,
Correct.
So we'll see. But shout out to you, man. Appreciate you, Pong. It's funny you caved. I saw that commercial. I said, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
They're leaning full. Did you hear today, PTK? Did you hear the latest rumors?
No, I haven't. No.
They're bringing advanced warfare weapons into it as well.
Oh, see.
They're going all, they're saying, hey, all that stuff we denied you guys and that you guys have been bitching and complaining about for years. Well, we know we've got this glorified DLC that was just going to be an expansion, but we're going to sell it to you full price. So guess what we're going to do for you guys? We're just going to give you the full playground that you guys have been asking for. Go hog wild, give us $70 plus battle passes. Let's go. That's what they're doing.
I heard they're bringing back like Rebirth Island, that kind of stuff as well too.
Oh, yeah.
All of that stuff is coming back.
Oh yeah, bro. There's rumors of Black Ops 3 stuff showing up in here.
Oh, see, they're just. I saw that trailer, man. I knew what they were trying to do. I said, "This is not 2009." I heard the music. I saw all. It looked like a Michael Bay movie. I saw like grenade launchers and quick. I'm like, oh no, you guys are trying to get me. I felt like it was a personal attack. You're trying to get me. This is not. I had to turn it off. I just showed my son, so he might be interested in it. I don't know, but we'll see. Chat, are you guys interested in NW3 at all? Let us know in chat as well too if that's something that you guys are gonna buy. Yeah, I know, man. As it gets closer, though, we'll see. Like as it gets closer, we'll see. But I don't know, man. We'll see. Fuzz, how you been, bro? What you been up to?
Well, I'm doing great. I just been keeping it simple, playing Forza.
Why the hell did I ask that? Why did I ask that question? Like that was stupid.
I think it was like Wednesday night was the last I played a Starfield. Broke some things in that game. On one of my playthroughs, Atlantis is in space partly, and then I got the land back, but not all of it. So that kind of screwed things up. And then another playthrough, I was able to jack one of the end game people's ships, and you're not supposed to do that until you pass something. And somehow they came out the ship, and I went in the ship, and I was like, oh wait, this is a first, because it normally says inaccessible. And ever since then, any ship of enemies that try to attack me, like when they land next to you or down the road or whatever, they don't get out the ship. They're like scared to get out of the ship now. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I kind of bugged that playthrough out. So I'm like, yeah, perfect timing for all these weird things to happen. And hey, spent a lot of time playing Forza, not as much as I would like to have, because sleep is a must, but level, what is it, 56 now with like 1 million and change, and
just putting a little time in, just a little time,
about 30 cars, but
just a little time.
I'm focusing on like my favorite 10, I guess you could say, but awesome, so much to talk about with the game, so much I am enjoying, little nitpicks here and there, but yeah, it's definitely worth the wait. But there's going to be some stuff to talk about. So, put your drink aside, or go grab a drink when that time of this podcast comes up. But we'll get into it. But so glad to be here with you guys. So glad everything is going well with you and family. And
thank you, brother.
Yeah, let's do this.
And let's get into it, chat, man. I appreciate you. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask. Did you guys watch the Diablo stuff this week too?
No. I didn't get a chance to. No, I didn't see it. It's a new season, right?
Yeah. Okay. Big changes. Okay. Lots of additions. That's also looking good again. Yes, good changes.
I actually so just quiet as kept. I snuck back on Diablo last week. I snuck back on Diablo and I played with either one of my characters. I was like, oh, this feels good, man. Like I kind of missed it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I kind of missed the whole grind and the cycle. Like I kind of missed it.
Go watch season 2 stuff, because it looks like they're trying to fix everything they broke. So we'll see, man. They're adding more end game stuff, more end game bosses. They're upping some of the loot ability, or some of the loot percentages as far as chances. They're doing a lot of good stuff, man. They're doing a lot of good stuff. So we'll see.
Okay. Too many games. Not
I know.
And look at shout out to Soul USA, the Soul USA in the chat. He mentioned High on Knife. I ain't even.
The DLC.
DLC, yeah. I've heard good things about it from the limited people that I've seen talk about it. So, like you said, there's so much to play, too much to play at this point in time, and we're 1 week, 2 weeks into the month. So it's going to be insane. But let's dive in, chat. We got a bunch to talk about. What's up, Dolan Knight? What's up, Joey? Everybody dropping in, man. Tell us what you're playing. Tell us what you've been up to, what you've been doing, man. Appreciate you guys. And once again, hit that like button as well. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And just if you're enjoying the show. Don't subscribe because of me, but if you're enjoying it, please do so. It definitely helps. So we actually going to talk about the poll of the week this week because I really want to get into this. And then once again, if you're not part of the poll of the week, I put it up on my X account every single Monday. All of that is in the description below, and then we talk about it here at the Shop Podcast on Saturday. But this is a good one. Shout out to the over 300 people that voted on this poll, man. It was pretty lopsided, but it says, now that PlayStation is making a games as a service push, do you believe in PlayStation's ability to make multiplayer focused games? Had a bonus question. What PlayStation IP is perfect for games as a service? This was extremely lopsided, Pong. I thought they would give PlayStation a little bit more leeway. It was 86% said no, we do not believe in PlayStation, with this games as a service or making multiplayer games. So chat, let us know how you guys feel about this games as a service push from PlayStation. We don't know how long this is going to continue, obviously, with Jim's departure, but it is currently where they're at. That's their plans as of today, as far as we know. That's the future roadmap. So Fuzz, I'm starting with you on this one, bro. I don't know if you took part in the poll. You usually do.
Yeah.
So what'd you vote, bro?
I'm probably the oddball in the what do you call it, like 14% range, but yeah, I voted yes. I'm confident that they can make at least one or two pretty decent multiplayer games. Now, what those multiplayer games will be is another question, but I know Bungie's definitely going to help them as far as that count with Marathon. I think that's going to be a worthwhile endeavor, but
Yeah.
MLB is kind of a games as a service. It's just
True.
they don't push it as much because it's not as popular as Madden or 2K, but that's already kind of in that realm. If they were smart, they would make GT7 more of a games as a service, like continuously add tracks. Like I think they've added 4 tracks since launch, like a year and a half or 2 years ago, and that's about it. So, and they've added roughly 30 cars, but that's like after almost 2 years. Like Forza does that in like a month sometimes. So they have some games that they could definitely step up and push into that realm, but I would love a SOCOM. That's like the big thing that they really need to look at, bringing back in some way, shape, or form, even if it means acquiring a small studio. Like what was that game? Insurgency Sandstorm. Like if they were to acquire NWI, I
Yeah.
think that would be a worthwhile pickup for to have them focus on something like that. To make a SOCOM games as a service platform thing where they're selling skins for weapons and operator thing or operators and so forth, and just focus on like I would say focus on it as a third person cover based shooter, team
Yeah.
squad, or like squad movements and stuff like that. Have it where there's slow pace and fast pace modes, and give that a try. And then Twisted Metal or something. Just they have the TV show. Why can't they freaking just make the game? Now I know I
We
said I
thought
had
we were going to
confidence
get
that
a
they can make
game
the
with the
game, but
TV
it's like,
show.
yeah, there has to be a game somewhere on some sort of, whether it's on a chopping block or a design table or something. They need to bring that to the forefront, green light it, give it an extra push, and whatever dollars they can throw at it, go ahead and do it. But those are the things that I think, as far as like the bonus question, that they should kind of focus on. Outside of that, I really don't understand why they gave Bungie I guess, the canceling authority for factions.
Well, that's why, I mean, you got to think about it though, Fuzz.
Mhm.
That might be part of the reason. I mean, obviously, I think the biggest reason was because the whole Activision situation. They needed another cash cow, and
Yeah,
Bungie's, that cash cow that they could say, okay, we have this on our platform. The other reason, obviously, was for quality control, and we see that obviously with the faction situation.
yeah.
Is Bungie going to be the filter for PlayStation though? I guess that remains to be seen, right?
And I don't think that they should have made that the end all be all. Like, have them be advisory and have them tweak some things, but don't make it so it's like, oh yeah, this what we just saw is bullshit kind of stuff, and then they throw it in the trash can. Because at least Naughty Dog in the past released factions, and that fan base seemed to enjoy that multiplayer mode. So at least update something along those lines. Like if whatever they were trying to do wasn't working, go back to what they knew from the original factions, and just update that, since they like remastering everything, remaster those graphics and, release the damn thing. But, that's, the fact that they're getting rid of Jim Ryan, I don't know if my answer is the right
Yeah,
one,
right.
because that kind of states that the whole games as a service thing probably isn't working. But we'll see. I'm pulling for him because I don't want my PS5 collecting too much dust. It's already getting dusty over this past week, or past couple of weeks. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. So I guess my biggest thing here, just before I let Pong kind of let it fly here, my biggest thing, Fuzz, to be honest with you in chat, is I'm on both sides of the fence. I agree with you that they have the talent. I don't think anybody can argue. I'll argue anybody, even though they haven't even paid attention to multiplayer in God knows how long. They have the talent. Like, I think we all know that. Like, they have talented developers that can make multiplayer games. They've done it in the past. Yes, it's been extremely, it's been a long time ago, but they just need to shift focus. My only problem is that you have a fan base that doesn't care about those kinds of games. Because for 15 years, you didn't care about those kind of games. So how do you fix that problem? I mean, at the end of the day, a good game is a good game, right? Like, I guess that's the only solution. Make a good ass multiplayer game or game as a service, and hopefully the fan base comes around. My problem is that that's going to be extremely difficult when your fan base thinks that only one kind of game is worth playing.
Yeah.
So like that's always been my biggest thing with the multiplayer thing. I know they can do it. They have the talent. You just mentioned Twisted Metal, SOCOM. I put up obviously a poll and asked a bonus question. Almost all the responses were SOCOM or Twisted Metal or something along those lines, or MAG, something like that. Maybe Siphon Filter, something like that.
Yeah.
But like, they have the IPs. They have the IPs and the talent. It's just the initiative doesn't make sense, like you said. And you got to think about it. Jim's out the door now. Is that initiative the initiative he started? He said 13 games of service games in the next like 5 years or something. Are they throwing that out the window and starting all over again? Are they just going to say, you know what, Jim, you're not here anymore to make any decisions. We're going to throw that out and just continue to do what we know to do best? And can they do that with the market still going towards games as a service, multiplayer, with them having to balance out their portfolio? Because we've seen they can't just do the single player thing all the time anymore. Like, it's not financially, they can't just do the God of War, Spider-Man. We'll do that 3 times a year and be good enough. You know what I mean? Like, that's not financially viable anymore. So I'm curious to hear you, Pong, kind of break this down. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it too.
Well, Steele and I just had a nice, big, long discussion about this morning. And I've had many this past week or 2 weeks here now. So to answer your first question, do I have confidence in PlayStation and that they can make a multiplayer game? No. As of this moment, I don't.
That's actually surprising. I thought you were going to say yes.
No. And that's not saying they don't have talent.
Yeah.
The difference is, and this is the big discussion that Steele and I had this morning, is that just because you have the talent, single player and multiplayer games as a service are two different beasts. True. You don't get to flip a switch no matter how talented you are and say, okay, yeah, we'll just go ahead and start making multiplayer games. No, especially in 2023. Yes. You don't do that. Back in the day, you could experiment. Back in the day, you could have a less than first-person shooter and get away with it because you would find an audience who certainly liked it. Now, every single multiplayer game is critiqued to death. And if you aren't offering something wholly different than a gamer's favorite other multiplayer game, right, you're not going to get that playing time. You're not going to convince people to move off of Fortnite. You're not going to convince people to move off of Call of Duty. You're not going to convince people to move off Apex Legends. We just saw this with Battlefield trying to come back.
Yep.
You can't, it's not that easy. And that's a DICE team that has been building multiplayer forever. And they even screwed up royally. So no, I don't have faith that Sony at this point in time can just do it. Do I think that they could find magic in a bottle and pump one out? Yeah, I do. I absolutely, because they do have the talent.
Yeah.
But no, I have zero confidence in what they're doing right now. They steered themselves away, like you were saying, PTK, for so long away from that. They steered their core PlayStation fan base away from multiplayer outside of third-party big stuff like Call of Duty, etc. That's what they used to fill all the gaps. while they just focus solely on the thing that they found out that they were very good at. And they built all of their teams around that concept of, nope, the premium experience is your movie-like games, your heavy narrative type games, your third-person over-the-shoulder action adventure games that draw people in. That's how they built their teams. Their teams aren't built for this right now. And I think that that's my biggest issue. That's why I've said time and time again that, in my opinion, the Bungie move was necessary because Jim saw they needed a shortcut to success. Does that mean out of guaranteed success? No, of course not. But they are so far behind that they needed a shortcut. They needed to bring in a team that has experience that can kind of teach them. He said it flat out. He said it in interviews. That's the reason why they were so valuable to him. That's why they overpaid the $3 billion, was to get a team who actually knew what they were doing. And again, Bungie's not 100%. Bungie makes lots of mistakes. They in fact have screwed up Destiny 2 right now to a large degree that they're going to have to try to recover from. So they're not even 100%. That's how high risk multiplayer and games as a service is. How many have we seen failed? Apex is starting to drop off now. There is nothing guaranteed on that. There's nothing guaranteed in this industry ever in totality. This is the highest risk entertainment industry in the world. But the fact is, when you start getting into multiplayer games as a service in 2023 and beyond, where there is so much competition, no, I don't have confidence. Now, as far as your bonus goes, when it comes to what IP, Fuzzy called out pretty much all my major ones. So you got SOCOM. I said it today on Living Split Screen this morning. This is one of my points, PTK. Is if you're going to do this, and I don't know if we're ever going to talk factions tonight or not. If we're not going to, it's fine. I'll just kind of throw this out there. With Factions 2, Steele and I's point this morning, Steele started it and I kind of wrapped it up this morning with because we were in the same mindset about this. If you are Sony and you're trying to do this, right? You do have some advantages with IP that is well known.
You do.
You can say you can say, PTK, oh well, that IP's been gone so long, it's not a big deal. Nobody cares about SOCOM anymore. Nobody cares about Resistance anymore. Nobody cares about any of those games anymore. They've been gone too long. They're not relevant in 2023. You can say that until you're blue in the face, right? But the thing is that people that were playing those games back in the day are now right around our ages. They're not dead. In fact, they're in the prime mode and spending position of their lives, usually somewhere in their 30s to their 40s. They are still out here. We still have nostalgia for those games. That core audience is just waiting for you to announce a comeback. Now, of course, you got to make the game good. But what would happen? I said this morning, PTK, and I will bet money on it. We'll never see this, but this is how I would have done it. Had Jim Ryan come out on video randomly on any given day, just put out an X tweet through PlayStation's X, right? Their X account. Had he just been sitting in his office at his desk and he's just sitting there and he's staring at the camera and he picks up a loose leaf of paper. And on that loose leaf of paper, he just holds it up to the camera. And in black magic marker, it says SOCOM on it. Doesn't say a word, but says SOCOM on it. That would be trending all day, all week long. It would get more views than all of their games as a service they showed off of 2 State of Plays ago combined. Guaranteed. And I'm not going to count Marathon's botted views that they use, whatever the hell they did. That's the power of their old IP. That would be a bigger play than anything they've done. And what I'm going to say about Factions 2, and in general, if Sony is going to do this, and they're obviously doing it, they're spending big money, they're buying studios to purposely build these types of games, they're investing in their first-party studios and then canceling games, whatever. If you're going to try to do this, why go so big out the gate? Why do you need to go so big? If you want to invest in a third party to make you a big games as a service multiplayer game, go for it. That's fine. That's your money. Go do that. But with your own first party, with your known IP that does give you an advantage, with Factions 2, why didn't you just put out a base game? Why did you not just start small, reinvent and build up what you originally had with factions, because you've already got a core base. It's smaller, but you've got a core base of people that were excited for the idea of factions too. Why not play off of that? Give them the base experience and then start building that experience out. Start using your popularity of your IPs to get your fan base reintroduced to multiplayer, to thinking about Sony IP along with a multiplayer, because they have trained them to think that's not the premium experience. They have trained them to think that they go to third parties for that stuff, not Sony. We don't spend $70 on first party titles for multiplayer. We play it for single player games. You got to untrain all of that. Use your IP, but start smaller and then work it out as it becomes more popular. Show people that you're serious about it. Show people that you're going to support it. Show people that you do know how to build a multiplayer game. That word of mouth will spread instantaneously these days. If they put out a small factions too, or even like you guys said, and Steele said this morning, brought back factions, the original one, and just started from there, and they did it good, and they said, hey, we're going to support this. Here's kind of our roadmap. We got some DLC. We're going to have some more maps coming. We got some more weapons thinking about all this. And you just start proving that word of mouth is going to spread, and people will be like, hey, have you played factions? Yeah, Sony brought it back. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And they did a great job with it, playing really well. You got to jump in. It's Last of Us. Let's go. That's how you start this process that they've kind of tore down over the past generation and a half. It's been a generation. I'll just call it a generation for what it is. That's what they've done to tear it down. And I think those are my thoughts. Motorstorm is another one they need to bring back with Horizon. Yeah,
I want you to address. So, what's up, Xbox Junkie 75? My boy, met him in LA after the show. Good. Awesome fan. But I want you to address, because he just mentioned something to you. Palm.
Yes. So, yep.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I want you to.
Okay. So he says Sony didn't do it because they try not to do Redfalls. They don't roll out first party games that aren't ready for prime time. Too much brand damage. And here's what we had somebody else in our living split screen chat that brought this up too. You can go too far the other way too, Xbox Junkie. Not every game's going to be a 90 minute. And it's because that's their problem for training their fan base as well, to think that anything under a 90 is garbage or a high 80. They can get away with high 80s now because Horizon. They've trained their fan base. That's not the reality of video games and never will be. Call of Duty does not score in the 90s every year, and yet it's the highest selling multiplayer game. So you can go too far the other way with that, and that's what Sony's done. Redfall, again, is an outlier due to the fact of when it was in production. We've already addressed all of this. Phil's addressed it. That's happened. Yeah. That's spilled milk. Yeah. There's nothing they can do about that. Back in the day, Xbox One generation, Xbox forced out games like that and just put them out because they needed content. What we've seen is Xbox is trying to find the balance. There is a balance. You can't cancel every game just because your internal team say, well, this isn't going to score a 90, so we can't get this out there because otherwise the Sony premium experience is going to be upset. You can't do that. Do you want to put out a bunch of 60 games? Of course you don't. That means the games are terrible. You don't want to do that either. But that's not what I'm telling Sony to do at all. There is no way in hell any one of us can know what Factions 2 looked like and what Bungie saw in it. We don't know that. Yep. We don't know any of the other 3 games, at least, that Sony has now canceled out of their group of games as a service. We don't know what those games look like either. But the fact is, if that is the case, if they think they're going to come out with multiplayer games that score 90s all the time, they're crazy, they're nuts, and they're going to fail every single time. That's not how it works. You have to put out good multiplayer games. You have to start to establish a multiplayer base out of your first party. And again, like I said, I'm not saying push out 60 games. I'm not saying that at all. But we all damn well know if you're a gamer, I'm going to call you a liar if you say you've never enjoyed a game in the 70s and 80s, even more so than a game that might have scored in the 90s. If you've been gaming for a long time and played a whole lot of games, you know damn well that's not the real reality of the video games. This small little percentage of the community that likes to do that nonsense, that likes to say anything under a 90 or high 80s is trash, we all know that's a fake act, okay? That's not reality. So I think that Sony could maintain their quality control, but they could start smaller, and that was my point. Start smaller, stop trying to go so big and grab the whole bag at once. Start smaller and grab smaller bags in individual times.
I think there's a bit of a disconnection, and I 100% agree with what you're saying, Paul.
Yeah,
but I think people don't realize, and this is the big thing for me, it's not even about the games. Like, I get what you're saying, Junkie, but we can remove the video game part of this. Their fans don't want it. Let's think their fans don't want those
the core
games.
fans.
The
core
fans.
fans.
I'm sorry.
Yes, the loud
core
ones.
Fans don't want those games, and they've been extremely vocal about it. If we need to go back, I can post the links to the last two showcases where they showed those games. And what PlayStation Nation, it was a collective sigh every time they saw a game as a service game on the screen. How do you fix that problem? That's a built-in problem. That's a self-inflicted wound. Yes. They've created this space at PlayStation. They've pretty much pushed out all multiplayer stuff, said that's not even part of our DNA anymore. They're not even synonymous with multiplayer. And shout out to Joe and Mr. Joe in the Dark. He just mentioned they had a war chest, Sony Online Entertainment, Planet Side, all those games. Those are PlayStation made games. They've done this in the past. They got a war chest that they can draw from. But like Pong said, you can't really half-ass it. You're going to have to jump in and deal with the fallout and build on top of whatever happens. You got to take your bumps and bruises along the way, but you do have to make the effort, because in this point in time, we've heard from Herman multiple times. We've heard from Jim multiple times. The Spider-Man God of War, the 3-4 times a year, it's not enough financially.
Correct.
Forget games. That's financially, it's not enough. So they have to enter the space whether anybody likes it or not. They have to try and walk through this door.
Correct. So absolutely. They got to take risks again. That's what but again, we've talked about this too. Is Sony so risk adverse now that they aren't willing to put their ass on the line anymore for stuff? Look at what happened to Days Gone. Days Gone sold 6 million copies and they said, nope. Why? Because we all know the Metacritic score didn't count. We all know that that's a big part of Sony philosophy in their games. And Xbox Junkie, respectfully disagree, gentlemen. A good game is a good game and a gamer likes it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but everybody's got different tastes, and your version of a good game is different from my version of a good game at times, Xbox Junkie. I can guarantee that. So again, what's the judge of that? Because Sony internally, we know for a fact, looks at Metacritic scores. And that's why Days Gone didn't get its sequel.
Junkie. They're not doing it day and date. No, PlayStation fans don't. You're not seeing the value because it's doing it a year and a half, 2 years later, Junkie. Like that's not the same thing. You know, I'm not saying. And I don't want you to think that we're just saying, hey, they need to do what Xbox is doing. That's not what we're saying.
No.
I don't want you to get it misconstrued, Junkie, because that's not what we're saying. But this is a journey that they have to take. Like, this is something that they're going to have to.
They're making a philosophy change. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And look, they're not perfect either, Xbox Junkie. They put out the PC port of The Last of Us. Are you kidding me? What did that score? Like a 50? It was broken. So their quality control isn't always up to par either. But with multiplayer games, you're going to have to take risks. Jim even said this. Think about this, Xbox Junkie. Think about this. Jim himself in an interview said he knows that not every one of those games as a service games that they are creating and that they've paid for are going to hit. He said 2 out of that group of 10 to 12. They've canceled 3 or 4, depending on how you look at it. He already knew that there was going to be failures because multiplayer and games as a service is not like that. So when you know that internally, that should signal to you that you should be taking more risks. And my point is, if you want to mitigate risk, you start small, especially with your first party stuff. You start small and build that multiplayer base up with known IP that you already have. That's how I would do it. Do I run billion-dollar business? No, I don't. Again, this is all outside. This is just opinion. But that's where I think it could differ, is if they took it slow. So that's what I personally would do. That's all I was saying. But no, I think it's a good discussion to have. And like I said, quality control, you can do too much. And I think Sony's done way too much. Sony missed opportunity to have a sequel to Days Gone, which would have done better than 6 million had they given Bend Studio a chance to do it. They had already built a nice base game, which is always your first game. Generally speaking, sequels in video games tend to be better because you learn your lessons and you will take what the game was good at and you improve upon the rest of it. And the sequels are generally liked more so than the originals. That's what happens with good franchises. They had something in Days Gone and they let it go simply because of a Metacritic score. Period. So I mean, I think that's too much.
At the end of the day, this is a journey they're going to have to take, and I don't even think it's up to them that they're going to have to try and do this. It's you have to be well rounded. We see, these companies, the market dictates where these companies go. You know what I mean? And if they need these games as a service game, they've already got the ball rolling. The initiative is there already. So we'll just see how it plays out. But that was a great first topic, fellas. Great first topic to get into. Shout out to everybody coming through. Once again, as you come in, hit the like button. If you're new, subscribe. I appreciate you guys so much. Once again, if you want to be a part of the family, you can always join as a member as well, too. We appreciate that, too. But let's move on to the next topic, man. And I've been dying to get into this one, man, because my britches have been burning ever since I sent this to you, Pong. I'll say tweet because I don't like saying X. This tweet to you. It sounds stupid. Like I sent this X to you. Like
you sent this post to me.
I sent this post to you. I want to talk a little bit about Starfield and the Creation Engine 2 discourse.
Yeah.
It's been burn my britches because so just let me kind of paint a picture here. So, there's been discourse around, obviously Starfield is what it is, but Starfield always gets brought up in the light of, let's talk about what this game isn't offering as opposed to all the other cool shit that it does. And I saw an article, just, a couple people talking about it, as well as just a big post, a long thread post. There was kind of a viral post about, hey, that Creation Engine 2 needs to be swapped out, right? Like specifically, I can't go into quotations here because I don't have all the information, but specifically regarding how the NPCs look, some of the facial animations, some of the character animations, things like that. And I think we can all agree that those aren't the highlights of Starfield. They're very good though. If you compare them to other Bethesda games, they're very, very good. And and to be fair, I think some of those visual animations still look better than some other single player games out there. But obviously, that's all subjective to me. So I want to pose this question to the chat, to the field, right? And obviously to my brothers here on the panel. Does Creation Engine 2, is it good enough? Like, because my thought is it's a give and take, right? Like you swap out some of the visual fidelity for all of the other cool shit that can happen in Starfield. So so in a vacuum, it sounds like a great idea. Like, yeah, let's just swap it out with UE5, everything gets better. That it doesn't work like that. So I kind of want to go down this road, and I'll start with you, Fuzz, on this, and just get your idea on that whole train of thought that like that particular part of the game is so bad that we need to change engines to improve that, but not considering all the other stuff that goes on in Starfield.
For me, see, it's a hard discussion, mainly because looking at it on my Series X and looking at it on my PC, before looking at it on my PC, it looked phenomenal in most of the cases on my Series X. The facial expressions on the main characters, the quest givers, and things like that. Now, the eyes on some of the
NPCs.
Random NPCs.
Yeah, be a little crazy, a little spooky.
Yeah, some of them look like they're either drunk or looking at you like you did something. So some of that I can understand where the discourse comes from, but all in all, when you compare it to a lot of other open world games, it's I would say it's passable, far more so than Fallout 76 or even Fallout 4 for that matter. Now, taking a look at that same engine on PC, and I don't know what these people are talking about at that point, because it is. I would say, with the exception of the ray tracing on some of the environmental stuff and it's like certain areas type things, I would say it rivals what Cyberpunk does on PC. When you're playing it on PC,
that's you got some DMs gonna be getting hit up saying that.
Oh, I know, but they need to have an NVIDIA card and know how to make sure the DLSS is working properly. And I'll tell you, it's on par with Cyberpunk. It's just a matter of, is it as crisp on every edge? No, but it's pretty damn close, or close enough for me. And without the neon lights, like if you look at, was it the actual city neon, it is like a mini cyberpunk. Yeah, you don't have the loads of tall buildings, but the graphical fidelity on what you see on PC is up there, and it's far better than what you see as far as these low quality pictures that have already been either manipulated or compressed from being uploaded several times, kind of thing. But for what the engine does in comparison to a Unreal Engine 5 game, which, let's be clear, there's only a handful of working Unreal Engine 5 games that are currently out there on the market, and all of those have problems with 60 frames. All of those have problems on console. Even most of them have issues even on PC. So could it look better in Unreal? Sure. But then you lose the persistency of the world. Like if you put your sandwich on the moon and then you come back 2 weeks later to that same spot, your sandwich is gone in Unreal 5. But in Creation Engine, it's there.
But
So
you
if
would need a nuclear powered computer to run a game like Starfield and UE5.
yeah,
Like
like
it. Go ahead.
no, it would definitely require a lot more time for optimization and things along those lines. Like, what was it? The agent, and I keep on wanting to say Agents of Avium, but that game had its issues even after the patch where it started artifacting on a lot of the like quick movements. So when you switch your hand cannons or whatever, it wound up going to, it almost looked as bad as what Star Wars Jedi Survivor looked in performance mode, where it was like kind of like ghosted scenery and stuff like that. But for me, the fidelity on console is acceptable for what the engine delivers in everything else. Like if you want to furnish your apartment or your house, that dream home, if you picked up that aspect or whatever, you couldn't do that in Unreal 5 and have the stuff that you set up there the next day or even minutes later. You leave the room and you come back, the stuff is gone. I don't think anyone's been able to figure out how to get that Quixel or Quark stuff, those many triangles, to not bog down any system yet. Like
Yeah.
it would look better, but it would not run better, and it would not play better as far as a lot of the other features. Now, sure, you could probably avoid some of the loading screens with the I guess you could say the old cut through the wall or squeeze through this crack in the wall or in a cave kind of thing to mask the load screens. But I don't know. It would look prettier, but you would lose so much else that I don't think it would be the same game at that point. It would have
Absolutely.
to, you would just have to only focus on the single player story
Yep.
and then make it more of a narrow focus as opposed to having unlimited possibilities kind of thing. So
I agree.
I'm fine with the creation too as it stands. The only thing I would like for them to do a little bit differently is just make some of the inventory management stuff smoother, and I guess just polish some of the buggy things that
Mhm.
like where I broke New Atlantis by docking my ship that was already on New Atlantis at like one of the space stations. But that's just me playing like a crazy person with 3 playthroughs at the same time and doing everything and anything to see how far I can push it and experience as many possibilities in the game within a short period of time before Forza. So
Yeah.
that's my
No,
2 cents on it.
and I'm glad that you highlighted a couple points, and I'm glad chat bringing up a couple points too. Shout out to everybody in chat, all the people dropping in as well too. Like it's not the same game. It's not a battery swap out. You can't just 1-to-1. Yeah, let's throw in UEI and everything is going to work the same way. Obviously, I think most people understand that, but I just think that it's a bit video games aren't necessarily made in a vacuum. Like Creation Engine 2 was made specifically for games like Starfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the systems, it's like a lasagna. There's all these layers and layers and layers of stuff on top of each other that make the game what it is, that make the engine what it is. And you just can't do that it might not even be possible in something like UE5. Like you may not be able to do it at all. Maybe you could, but you might have to brute force it. You might have to sacrifice a lot of other things that you may do, some fidelity here and there. Like you said, hell, you might even chop off half of the story that you had planned on. Maybe you're not even able to do all of that kind of stuff. So I just think it's crazy to just, in my opinion, be like, oh well, it just needs to be swapped out, and like I just think it's so short-sighted, and when people say things like that, I think we need to put it in the proper context. Obviously, these games require they require different things. They have different sets of demands, and this engine specifically was built for a game like Starfield, and I don't think I'd want it any other way. Messed up NPCs and all. To be honest with you, because I can't see me not being able to do all of the cool shit that I'm able to do in Starfield, like all the stuff, the random stuff that can possibly happen, the physics stuff, all the stuff I've seen people do in space, and like that stuff probably doesn't even happen. You don't get those instances if you swap engines, and it's crazy to think that even if you look at Creation, even if you say, well, Creation Engine 2 isn't that big of a jump, have you looked at like Skyrim? Like, have you looked at how that? I mean, I know the game is old, but I think it's been quite a jump from the last game that they made. Hell, even 76. Yeah, it's almost a night and day difference, like from a visual standpoint, in my opinion. 76 isn't like an ugly game, quote unquote, and it's been out for a while now. But the Creation Engine 2 to me is a substantial jump over the usual Bethesda type art style, in my opinion. So I know Pong, you're probably a bit more versed in on this. We talked about this a little bit in the DMs. I shot this to you right away as soon as I saw it. So I'm dying to get your opinion on this too. I know you've talked about this probably already.
No, we really haven't touched on this at all because I just flat out no. Anybody who brings this stuff up doesn't understand the history and why Creation Engine was designed by Bethesda. It's based upon the old engine Gamebryo, which is still used to this day in a lot of different games. It's still current, but they based it upon that architecture and they built it themselves for a reason. I challenge anybody to name a non-Bethesda game that does exactly what their games do, system by system, open world. I challenge anybody. There's a reason why Bethesda games are so unique. They purposely made this engine for their type of sandbox world. There's other sandboxes. There's other games that are sandboxes. There's other games that have sandbox elements to them. There's other games that are full open world sandbox. But nobody has the amount of persistent systems going on all at the same time that a Bethesda title does. Anybody who's asking for this is asking for Bethesda to make a different game. If Todd Howard came out tomorrow and said, we have miraculously found out that we can name your engine. I don't care. Snowdrop, Unreal Engine 5, name any of the best looking engines out there. We have miraculously found a way to make all of our systems work the exact same way they do in Creation Engine. I would be all down for it. Go for it, Todd. More power to you. But that's not what Bethesda games are about. Bethesda games have never been about being the best looking game. Ever.
Some people will say that's an excuse, and I hate that.
That's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse, though.
It's a design choice. It's a design choice because of what they're going. Their goals are different than other development studios. Cyberpunk is a much more focused. It has a sandbox, a lot to it. But it doesn't have the amount of systems that a Bethesda game does. I love Cyberpunk 2077. It's one of my top 5 all time, top 10 all time. I love Cyberpunk 2077. I love the freedom it does give me. But does it do everything a Bethesda title does? No. Are we even talking about 1/100th of the scope of what currently Starfield is? No. So people who say this legitimately want Bethesda to make a different game. A lot of people who are not being console warriors, who are not being the circus, the clowns, the disingenuous, who do have real criticisms of Starfield, and I do believe it's their real opinion on Starfield, that they just don't like aspects of the game. That's okay. You don't have to like every game that comes out, and it doesn't have to be for you, even if it is a giant AAA game from one of the most beloved developers in the world. You don't have to like it. Even if you like their other games and it doesn't match your expectations, that's cool. That's not a problem. But don't ask Bethesda to change their entire formula and do something like Cyberpunk, because that takes away so many of the different systems that makes their games special and unique. So no, I don't want that. Second of all, Creation Engine and the whole idea behind it was built around the modding community. The modding community, for as much as
I didn't even think about that, Pong. I forgot about that.
Yes, it was designed specifically for its ease of use within the modding community. Why do you think they have one of the biggest and best modding communities out there? All the outside people, tons of outside people like to criticize Bethesda and their modding community. Love to criticize Bethesda. Oh, they just let their modding community fix it. Their modding community loves fixing Bethesda games. Their modding community thrives off of it. There are people that are now working in the game industry professionally because of the work they did on Bethesda titles. Those people aren't doing it out of hate. They're not sitting there going, oh, I'll show Todd, I'm going to fix his freaking game. They don't do that. They do it out of love and passion. And why? Because the Creation Engine is so easy for them to get in and get to work. That's why we've seen already so many mods, and they don't even have the official modding package out yet. Because people already know how to get in there, even on Creation Engine 2.0. They know how to get in there and work the systems already. That's another big part of this, and that has been a huge boon for Bethesda. It has been a huge boon for the modding community, who has taken advantage of that and made names for themselves, made money off of it, all that good stuff. It is a circle of life over there for Bethesda. So no. If you don't like the game for whatever reason that is, because the graphics don't live up to your expectations, because the gunplay isn't up to your expectations, because the NPCs aren't up to your expectations, whatever your reason for, that's okay. But you don't get to sit there and look at the history of Bethesda and their games of the year, their games of the generation, all the awards we won, 40 million sold plus on Skyrim, and then turn around and say, why don't you guys all use Unreal Engine 5 because it looks so much better? No. Again, if Todd and his team can use another engine and do everything that they're currently doing with it, great. That's fine. Perfect. Awesome. But you're asking them at this point, because of how they build their games, because of what's important to their game design choices, and let's be real, this is Todd and his A-team's game design choices. This is their philosophy. This is how they build games. Todd has said this time and time again in interviews. This is what they choose to make their games like. If it's outdated, it's outdated. They love to make these games. They love playing these types of games. I love playing these types of games. But if you're honestly asking Todd to change all that, then you really are just saying, I want Bethesda to make a different game because I'm no longer interested in this type of Bethesda game. And that's okay. We grow out of different things.
Exactly.
My tastes in games have changed through the years, 1000%. That's okay. Can you say that there's still bugs and that they need to be fixed, like Fuzzy's thing, and Fuzzy's not alone with the Atlantis? That's a big bug. That's a game-breaking bug. That needs to be resolved. Those are criticisms that can be leveled, like, hey, guys need to get on this stuff. There's a lot of people showing video of that happening to them. Like, that's stuff you don't want to see. But that is, again, stuff that does happen in very complex games where you get millions of people playing them, that they tested and never found that bug. But when it got in the hands of 10 plus million people, well, all of a sudden it showed up. That does happen, but they've got to fix it. That's a legit criticism. The eyes on the NPCs, legit criticism. You guys gotta go back and write some of that code again so they don't look freaky, right? Those are legit criticisms, and those are things that can be talked about. But overall general game design and how the Creation Engine works, again, nobody can name another game that does what Bethesda's games do on
Man.
all levels. There's certain ones
There
that come
isn't
close, but there's not a one, and
There
that's
isn't.
why they're so beloved. And so that's why I say no, you can't. It's crazy talk to talk like this.
And the crazy thing about this, and I love the fact that you brought up, like, and it's not even, and I know how people will take that sometimes. I know you're not saying that, show me another game to be like, ha ha, Starfield does all of this cool shit, but it's a legitimate question. Is there, like, we don't have anything to compare Starfield to.
Correct.
There's nothing. There's no other game. Like, I don't have a 1-to-1 comparison. Like, that's why it has to be Cyberpunk or something like that, which isn't even a 1-to-1 comparison.
No,
the honest closest one is Star Citizen, but it doesn't have the story yet.
Sure.
And it hasn't had the story for, was it 6 years now?
And what is his budget currently?
Oh, about $1 billion.
Well, they stopped. I think they stopped counting at the 500 million.
Yeah, that's the last time I saw an article was 500 million. It's probably well over that by now. Over that by now. So they get donations like they're the Mormon church over there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and their persistent world, when they finally uploaded that to the server, it broke the game for however many thousands of people that are playing it. So they have tried it in something like Unreal or whatever engine that they used on, I forget what that not the Wanderer, but whatever game that they made beforehand. They updated their engine to, you know, kind of be sort of like Unreal plus their old engine, and it just can't handle persistent space without having dozens of servers constantly keeping track of things, which even they had to, you know, backtrack on and say, oh, well, after 48 hours, the stuff disappears except for what's in your secure box or stash. So, you know, it's not an easy trade-off. Like, I would rather have the game as it is and looking the way it is, as opposed to having it look, you know, a good bit better and then not have the you know, the bones to it, as far as being able to, you know, put stuff in my ship and know it's going to stay there, or put stuff on in my apartment and know it's going to stay there, or, you know, drop a whole bunch of like contraband somewhere and know that it's going to be there when I come back for it, you know, however many hours or even days later, kind of thing. So
I'm seeing people in the comment section. What's up, KT? Obviously, what's up, Junkie Gogo? Obviously, there may be some other comparisons. I don't know. He said Kingdom Come Deliverance, Star Citizen, games like that. There's those games aren't on the same scale.
Kingdom Come Deliverance. Like, I would say this looks better than Kingdom Come Deliverance, both on console and on PC.
Well, like I said,
a decent amount of that. So.
I've never played a game on this scale. I don't think the scale, you can say the game, maybe you can do similar things in that game, but not at the same scale as Star. So my thing is, at the end of the day, obviously we're all going to have our different opinions and this is subjective, right? At the end of the day, if we have to sit down, if you're going to tell me, okay, there's other options out there, we can make a different game. I mean, we can use a different engine. Okay, fine. Let's sit at the table. What is our conversation going to consist of? What can we do and what can't we do with this new engine? That's where we start, right? If Pong, Fuzz, isn't that the kind of start? Don't we start there? That's all I'm saying. And I think that's all Pong is saying. I think it's even all this Fuzz is saying. Where do we start at? Well, the conversation starts at, okay, what are we giving up? What's the give and take when we do switch here? And I'm not saying that the engine can't improve. It will over time. Pong just mentioned the mods, and they're obviously going to pass things in. It's probably going to get better over time. I don't know if they'll ever fix the buggy eyes and things like that. Maybe that'll be part of the Bethesda charm, I guess, quote unquote.
No, it will be. They've done stuff to fix NPCs in the past in some of their games as well. So they'll work on that stuff. And Todd already said this time around, everything they've learned because of Elder Scrolls, because of Fallout, for how long people play their games, they specifically built Starfield with that knowledge. And that's the way they set it up. They set Starfield up to be a platform in a lot of ways too. We don't think of single player games as a games as a service, but with Starfield, Todd's already talked about it, right? And they've already got plans. You heard him say 5 years down the road, this is going to, we're going to have things added to this game. They're already working on lists of things to change and add into the game. So this was kind of developed with that mindset. And you can sit here and say, well, they shouldn't do it that way. It should be a complete game like we've talked about a billion times before. And it should be exactly the way it's going to be, and it should be the best it should possibly be. Well, then we would have had to wait 10 years. And you could say, well, they need to figure out how to dev better then. No, there are certain teams, that certain designs that just do take longer, that if we asked, if they wanted to do it even more, then it would take 10 plus years. I would rather have the game in my hands in the state that it's currently in, because it's my favorite game of all time right now. Like that's what's happened with this game, because they gave me everything I wanted and I want to watch it evolve over time. So there is give and take there. If you're not in that mindset, I hear you. And I don't disagree with you per se at all. I'm just saying that would be part of that give and take that PTK was just talking about. So for me, that's where I kind of sit with it, is that Todd and his team have decided that the creation engine is designed specifically to make their visions a reality. And if their visions don't change, if this is the type of games that they want to continue to make, I expect them to continue to make Creation Engine 2.0. If you want a better looking game, then you can certainly say, well, I'd like to see this better. Right. And you can certainly say, well, I'll wait for some mods before I play this game and see what the mods come up with, and maybe it'll start to look better. You can certainly do that. That's a choice. But at the end of the day, that's not the game that they designed it around, because that's not their top priority. Their top priority is all the systems. And those systems are so complex, as Todd has explained time and time again in interviews, to get right and to make sure they're all working together in a playable fashion when you finally put all the game together, that's the main priority that they have when they're building out their games. And again, if that doesn't align with what you like, then that's okay too. Again, there's no problem here. I'm not going to tell you you're crazy for not liking Starfield. I never would do that. I'll tell you if I think you're being disingenuous or just hating on it, just to hate on it. But I'm not going to tell you that you're crazy for not liking it, because not everybody does. Again, not everybody plays every game, and not everybody plays the same type of games. But I just love what they do. And so again, for me, I want them to keep using Creation Engine 2.0. Do I want them to upgrade it? Of course. Todd knew he had to upgrade it. They hired an engineering team for the first time ever to work on Creation Engine 2, to give it 2.0. The devs themselves, while they were making Skyrim, were still working on the Creation Engine on the side as well. They didn't even have a dedicated game engineering team. They didn't even have that for their game engine. So they actually went out and did that, and that's how we got 2.0. And in a lot of places, 2.0 with the lighting and everything that PTK and Fuzzy both mentioned does look immensely better than ever. And on PC, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And that goes across the board for most games. When you have a high-end PC, that's where it really shines. Well, let me tell you, Starfield is freaking ridiculous. But on Series X, where I've played it 70% of the time now, 75% of the time, I'm okay with it. Like, it looks good. Sure, are there times where I'm like, ew, what is that? Absolutely. But there's a lot of times where I go, God dang, I never thought I'd see a Bethesda game look like this. This looks gorgeous.
They took the elephant and stuffed it in a cereal box.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely, PTK.
Yeah, it's insane. So I mean, I don't want to ramble on. I want to bring this up. KT the GOAT, what's up, bro? He did make a great point here. I want to kind of talk about this a little bit. He said Xbox releases is something I call living games. They basically hand us sandboxes for years and add content. State of Decay 2, Sea of Thieves, Grounded are good examples. Starfield will be the same. Great damn point, KT. Appreciate. And that's something that you got to appreciate. And like you said, that's the other thing, and you brought this up, Pong, that makes Starfield unique, especially being a single player game, that there's this long road. It's an obvious roadmap, and there's a real path to the roadmap. It's not like, it's some vague path, and there's a real path to Starfield, and like it's so big that like it can go, it's so branching off and go so many ways.
And it's planned. That's the difference. CD Projekt Red didn't plan to have to rebuild their entire game. Right? They didn't plan for that. They actually planned for multiple DLCs. They planned for a bunch of other multiplayer was supposed to be coming to us. They didn't plan for what happened to Cyberpunk. But for God's sakes, people, I love that game from day one. A lot of people hated the game from day one. More people hated the game from day one. But guess what? 3 years later, now we've got Cyberpunk 2.0, and guess what? Internet's exploding with nothing but love and admiration for CD Projekt Red and for Cyberpunk and all this kind of stuff. I
always knew they were a top tier dev.
Bro, are you kidding me? I was one of the minority voices coming out on these podcasts going, try Cyberpunk. If you got a current gen or a PC, go play Cyberpunk. The story is simply, I was out here praising it. When everybody else was trashing, I gave them their Smoke too. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
I really
Sure.
read them the riot act for what they did, especially with the last gen and to lying to everybody like that. That was upper management. That was shit. But again, all of a sudden, everybody's willing to forgive Cyberpunk. Right. But now all of a sudden we're going to go, yeah, but look at Cyberpunk compared to Starfield.
3
Look
years
at
later, man.
Bro, not even the same style of game. Like this is like,
Crazy.
yes, is it an RPG? Yes. Is it an open world? Yes, but it's in one city, right? It's focused in one city. There's a difference here of scale. There's also a difference of goals. And again, they don't have the amount of systems that Starfield does. And everybody just ignores that and says, yeah, but look at the graphics, look at the NPCs, look at how they interact with you. Bro, let's be real here. It's a different type of game from a different type of dev. So that's when I just go, I don't name me another game that does all the systems that Bethesda titles do, and now at scale that we see in Starfield, and then we can have a conversation. But you can't name one. That's why Bethesda. That's why Bethesda beloved. There's games out there that emulate them. There's games that certainly do a lot of different systems. Tears of the Kingdom being one of them, does a lot of different systems in there, but not to the degree of a Bethesda title. And that's the difference maker. That's just
and
for me.
The visuals on Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes.
As well.
Right.
Which
is
still,
I props off to that team
for
too.
sure.
And I've said that how they got all those systems in Tears of the Kingdom to run on that old ass mobile hardware is unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable. The like all the physics calculations and stuff that are in that game. Yeah, man. Yeah. No,
super impressive. I will give, Nintendo their credit for being able to do that on a toaster level hardware, essentially with that Switch. Like, it's crazy that they're able to pull that off. But I want to get to this quick super chat, and we're going to switch lanes a little bit here. But great topic, man. I had to get that off because I've been sitting on that all week. And me and Pong, we talked about it a little bit in the DMs, Pong, but we got to bring it to the people too. So I got a quick $2 super chat from Spender. What's up, bro? Shout out for hanging out with us tonight. Skyrim is still getting new mods till this day, guys, for sure. And that's what we talked about, man. It's just how Bethesda is. They have plans. The community loves those games. They're always going to support them. They've built that type of environment for their around their games.
Just wait until we have a whole Star Wars universe in Starfield and see how many people are talking about it. Right.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean, they're already doing the mods. They have the lightsaber one. They have the Mandalorian
Boba Fett
armor.
one. I think Boba Fett too as well. Yeah.
They got all the guards turned into stormtroopers.
Yep.
It's coming.
Speaking of Boba Fett, that was no pun intended. He just dropped in here. What's up, Boba? How you doing, brother? No, but I guess we're gonna go ahead and switch lanes here. I'm gonna throw the keys over to my boy Pong and see where we going, bro.
I thought we were doing Forza.
Oh, I mean, we can do Forza. I don't want it to lead that because I know for last.
You want to leave it? You want me to come up with a small topic? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we got the Redfall thing. kind of a big deal. That too.
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly do the Redfall thing. Okay. If you want to.
I don't want to leave that for Fuzz because I know we need time to get. That's going to be a pretty.
That's going to be a hefty one. That's why I was looking at the time and I'm like, okay, all right. So you want to?
We could get to it.
No. We could do a smaller one. Let's do a smaller one. So, you seem interested in let's talk about the Redfall stuff because this is another conversation to be had. This is a part of the conversation we were originally having with Sony, because the one thing we have seen with Sony is that they don't support their games. A lot of times they will let them fall by the wayside or cancel them, right? The one thing about Xbox that we have seen is that they will continue to support their games. In Redfall, a lot of people thought should be left for dead, right? A lot of people out here, and people to this day, even after the news this week, were saying, why are you wasting time and resources on this dead game? And obviously, if you look at the Steam numbers, it is a dead game.
Yeah, it is.
But here's the thing. Xbox knows this is a first party IP, whether or not good or bad. It came out underneath their name. Phil talked about it, addressed it, took responsibility for it, admitted that the game did not turn out the way they wanted it to. All of that stuff. As much as there are some people in this community that liked Redfall from the gate, props to you all. I tried playing it on the PC at 60 frames, was having a good time with Steel, and then I lost 4 hours of gameplay, and I was like, yep, nope, we're done. Right? But I saw the potential in Redfall. I still see the potential in Redfall as an IP. Not to say that they're ever going to do a second one, because I would not bet money on that at this point.
Yeah.
But I do think that there was potential there. What I played, and when it was working well, it worked really well, and I enjoyed it. Again, still want to have a fun time in co-op.
And that's an empty lane. We don't get a whole lot of good vampire games either.
No, and that's why a lot of us were all excited and hyped for it and all that kind of stuff, right? And then the 30 frames for everything. We don't have to rehash it. My point being is that this week, right? They lived up to their promises. We had heard Pete Hines a month or two ago after just about a month ago, I think it was during the Starfield launch period. Somebody had asked him about Redfall and said, we're still working on it and we are going to fix it. But they had gone radio silent. No word on the 60 frames patch, no word on anything. That's when people started saying, yeah, just let it die, guys, don't work, just move on, go make Prey 2 or go make Dishonored 3 or whatever you're gonna do, just go do that. Leave Redfall to die. Here's the deal. Xbox understands this is a first party title, and this game will live on in Game Pass forever, quote unquote, right? For as long as Game Pass is around. And again, even if they took day and data games away, it doesn't matter. They leave all the older games in there. Redfall is going to be in there. That means it's going to have 25 million people that have access to that game at any given moment, plus whatever they grow Game Pass to, whatever that becomes. If it becomes 50 million, 100 million by the end of the generation, whatever this winds up being, that game is going to be there. It has their name stamped on it. They kept their promise, folks. So this week they announced a huge update. It comes out with 60 frames of performance mode for both Xbox Series X and S. Stealth takedowns, something that absolutely was missing that I talked about when I played it, or when I heard about that they didn't have stealth takedowns. I was like, excuse me, this is an arcane game. How do you not? You've got stealth takedowns in every single one of your games. Like, that's the best part of Dishonored, one of the best parts. Like, it's beautiful. How do you not have? They added stealth takedowns, increased open world enemy population, another critique a lot of people had, and I absolutely understood why, and new encounters, new controller settings, gameplay combat changes. They added an FOV slider to the console version, which makes a gigantic difference in this as well. Massive update came to Redfall this week. They lived up to their promise and they followed through. That's what this is about. Xbox is not going to let this game die, just like they didn't let Sea of Thieves die, just like they've shown a propensity to make sure they give it their best go. No matter what happens, how the game starts out, at this point, Xbox wants to make it good. Because again, at any given moment, you could have new people jumping in to Game Pass that all of a sudden say, they never heard of Redfall before. They never heard any of what the problems were. They pop the game on, and all of a sudden they have a
Holy
good
shit,
time.
This is amazing.
That's good for your ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
That's good for your brand. So you make sure that the games are living up as much as they possibly can. They spent the money, they spent the time, gave Arcane more time. It sounds like they're going to continue to work on the game. It sounds like they're not done. They were out on Twitter, or on X, I should say, saying that they were posting, hey, love to hear the feedback. Some of the devs were out here. We love to hear the feedback. Keep it coming. We're going to keep working on this. They're going to make this game as good as possible. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. So I want to get you guys' opinion on this then. And we'll start with PTK here. PTK, right. Let's go, man. Redfall. I re-downloaded it this week. Like I said in my intro, you might see me and Mav playing it later tonight, and maybe somebody else, tonight or tomorrow or something. We're going to hop back into Redfall. We're going to do some co-op. And we're going to check it out. I popped it on for probably 10 minutes the other night just to see. It's a difference already. Again, the 60 frames out the gate. But for you, PTK, Redfall, does this make you want to jump back into it? What do you think about them? What do you think about the opinion that this is a waste of time and resources because it's a dead game and it's never coming back? Are you there, or are you on the other side that says, no, you got to make this right? What are your thoughts on this one there, PTK?
So there's a few different things. We talked about this a little bit behind the scenes. There's a few different things here. And I said it when I first saw this. I stood up, and you know that GIF where I believe it's I can't remember his name, but he's sitting there with the mustache on and he's clapping and he stands up. That's how I felt when I saw that tweet, because ultimately that's what it's about. It's about finishing what we started. It's about, I know it's a little late, but it's about making the game what it should have been, but making it, you know what I mean? Like getting it to the point to where it should be, even though it might be 2, 3, 4 months after the fact. it's following up on a promise, because how many times in this day and age, Fong, we just talked about it, do we see devs not do what they say they're going to do? Even on the back end, even after the fact, even after they've been exposed, after all these things have come out, they still don't follow up. This is Xbox's future. This is what they're going to be doing going forward. They've done it with every game that they see that actually has potential, and they saw potential in Redfall. It was a reason why they pushed Redfall to the forefront. You know, they put it at the end of the showcase and highlighted it the way they did because they see the potential in the game. This is a good thing, in my opinion. Now, obviously, the timing, you've already lost a lot of people, the initial crowd, that's hard to get back. But the fact that you do have a vehicle like Game Pass allows you to give the time to allows you to give the game time to breathe and people to come back to it. Because like you said, it's not going anywhere as long as Game Pass exists. That's the beauty of having a vehicle like Game Pass. You're able to do these things. Now, some people will say, well, it should have been this way from the beginning. You're right. I can't really argue that, right? Like, yeah, it should have been that way from the beginning, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't. And they've admitted that it was a half-ass effort and it wasn't what it should have been. But I'm just happy to see the devs put their head down, because we were in a similar situation. There's a little game called Halo that went through a similar thing, not as bad as Redfall, but it was people pretty much had the same questions. Are people ever going to go back to Halo? Halo is having this quiet renaissance right now. It's going through this period where people are actually, the community, the Halo community, are actually excited about the future of Halo and some of the changes that they've recently made. It's not perfect, but this is what happens when a studio believes in what it does and is super talented and is given the time to fix some of the things that they weren't able to do. Now, sometimes we've moved on as gamers, and like I said, you can't get that initial excitement back from a lot of us, because let's be honest, there's a lot of shit coming out. And is Redfall going to be able to fit in all of our schedules? Probably not, right? There's a lot of stuff we're currently playing that we're just into, you know, Starfields and Spider-Man's coming out, all this other stuff coming out, Cyberpunk. But I still think you should give the devs kudos, give Arcane kudos for putting their head down. Yeah, they didn't give us a lot of updates, and just getting to work and making this game and actually adding some additional things that maybe some of us didn't even think that they were going to tweak or add into the game. They gave us more than what some of us actually thought they were going to give us, because a lot of us just wanted to. A lot of people talked about or highlighted the 60. The 60 frames not being there. They gave us that plus like 5, 6, 7, 8 other things that some of us may not have even considered. So I'm excited because we don't get this a lot. We like to talk about devs not doing what they're supposed to, and this is something that I like to see. You know what I mean? I like the fact that they gave them time. They owned up to it. Arcane owned up to it. Xbox owned up to it. Phil Hell came out himself in multiple interviews and said, "Look, we dropped the ball. There's nothing we can do about that. We dropped the ball, and we're going to take that on the chin," and they've taken that on the chin. So I think, in my opinion, I'm personally, you guys might not in chat, I'm personally going to give them kudos for putting their head down and getting to work and putting out a quality game that I still have access to because I have Game Pass, and I'm going to probably jump back in and see what those offerings are. So I'm more than happy with the updates. I'm glad it you know. And I know some people are like, well, why would they go back and use the resources and things like this? It's not about that. It's about some of it's image too. Some of it, you know, we have this image as a whole. You know, Arcane's not just Arcane on its own anymore. They're part of the Xbox umbrella. So
but even Arcane has an image too, right, PTK?
Yeah,
and prior to Redfall, Arcane was a beloved studio. Yeah, beloved. It never was commercially successful with a lot of their games, but the fans of their games loved Arcane style games until Redfall dropped, and they were like, "This isn't Arcane."
This isn't very exactly. So I'm like I said, I mean, they've taken enough heat. I don't think we need to revisit any of that. They've got their ass kicked for 4 months, 5 months. Like I don't really think that needs to be said. I think we all understand that, but I think it does mean something when a dev takes the time, they put their head down and actually deliver. You know, we have games that No Man's Sky is a perfect example. You know what I mean? We have games that didn't start out where they should be, and we got to give these developers the proper kudos when they do, you know, make it out the trenches and actually sit down, put in the work, and it actually shows in the game when you boot it back up. Oh shit, they actually went in and made a lot of the adjustments that they said they were going to make. So I'm happy and excited for it. I'm happy because it gives me an opportunity to get back into the game, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm a transparent person. I didn't give the game a fair shot. And I'm man enough to say that. I didn't give it a fair shot. I kind of succumbed to a lot of the noise around it. Sure. And I'm very transparent about that. So I'm gonna dive back in, and I want to experience some of these updates. So I'm happy. I'm really, really happy.
And I think that's that should be the general consensus at this point. Again, even if you consider the game dead, you should just say, hey, they did what they needed to do to fix it. Again, shouldn't have been broken in the first place. They should have delayed it. They should have never gotten to this point. But at the end of the day, there are other games that have been abandoned. There are other games that have not been patched or have not been fixed and have just been left as is and to never recover again. And I think that in this day and age to see this happen, it's a good thing. And Fuzzy, you know, like I was just saying, it would have been very easy for Xbox to walk away. And just tell the rest of the devs at Arcane, nope, just move on to your next game. We're not going to worry about this stuff,
next project.
Right? Next project. Let's
sweep this under the rug and act like it don't happen.
Yep, that spilt milk over there. We're just gonna just mop it up and move on, and that's it. That's all we're gonna do. It would have been very easy, and they've done that in the past. During the Xbox One generation, again, as we were talking about, there was a lot of games they forced out the door, incomplete, not baked enough, that never got fixed again, right? That just were left there because that was the position they were in. This is the new Xbox, however. This is an Xbox that now has a roadmap that is looking unbelievable. This is an Xbox that's starting to fire on all cylinders, and next week it might even get more crazy if ABK is announced officially. So this is a different time for Xbox. They allowed... Yeah, they gave Redfall a delay. I can't imagine how this game would have looked had it come out when it was supposed to in 2022. They gave it one delay. They didn't delay it again. They probably should have, but they didn't. They put it out the door, but we've seen them delay Starfield, one of their biggest games ever, to launch, to make sure that was done right. And again, discourse around that, it doesn't matter. We know for a fact that Starfield's a better game because of it. So Xbox shows a willingness now to put in the time and effort. So for you, Fuzzy, seeing this, after we hadn't heard anything from Arcane, after the initial launch and all the bad press and everything, and them saying we're going to get 60 frames working, they just went radio silent and said nothing. So, and then never gave any indication whatsoever that this was coming. No fanfare whatsoever. Just out of the blue this week. Here you go. After IGN had written another dumbass article, here you go, guys. It was like planned. It almost like was Arcane knew that IGN was going to write that article and they waited for them to post it. And it was like, let's put this tweet out and let everybody know the patch is here. It was perfect. But for you, Fuzzy, Redfall, I don't remember if you even dipped into it or if you just said, nah.
For a couple of hours.
Did you? Okay. So you did. Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it didn't grab me like I was hoping as far as from the few hours I played. But the fact that they stuck to their guns and, brought out the 60 frames patch, which they had promised, is awesome that they were able to keep their word. And yeah, it would have been nice if we'd gotten updates, but I think it's better that they went radio silent for the most part, so people aren't always posting like, well, when is content? What about this? And they would have probably been constantly bombarded with silly questions, considering how much they got, raked over the coals those first few months after launch and stuff. But the game probably should have been in that condition from start. But since it wasn't, and they made that promise and they delivered on that promise, I can't fault them on that. I think that goes to show, like you said, the direction that Xbox is heading. We won't have to worry if there's an issue with a game, know that they're going to basically get that resolved ASAP if they can't have it resolved prior to launch. But it's, for me, I wouldn't say it's a matter of it being too late. At some point, I'm pretty sure I'll give it a go again. But at the time when I tried it, and I played it solo for like a couple of hours, it just wasn't for me. But for those that enjoyed the game, I'm hoping that a lot of the things that they were requesting or asking as far as like updates or changes, I'm hoping that was part of that patch as well. It's good to see that the game isn't dead, considering there are other games that, are always online and then the servers close like less than a year later. So, it's good to see that, Microsoft is standing behind their brand and keeping these studios on their toes and making sure that they deliver on, stuff that they were promised to their fans. So good on them. And, hopefully they continue to support this game with more content updates and things. And I still kind of want that Prey 2 to or Dishonored 3, but I'm leaning more Prey 2 as far as their next project. But we'll see how it goes. But happy that they're sticking to it.
Yeah, and we saw the ZeniMax roadmap, and Dishonored 3 is on there, Fuzz. So cross our fingers, because I love Dishonored. Dishonored is freaking amazing, and I hope they're working on that. But I'll just say this, guys. I didn't doubt that they were going to continue to work on this game. They kind of have to. They sold premium editions, the Bite Back editions with DLC. Yeah. They've got more characters lined up. They also had 60 frames printed on the boxes, for God's sakes. I mean, there was a lot here that they had put their name to, that they had kind of signed an agreement with the gamers. And even if all those gamers have walked away and said, forget you, and I'm not playing this game, at the end of the day, as a dev, if I were Arcane and I had worked on Redfall, I would have been in there slamming my fist on the table saying, let us finish this game. I would not want to go to bed every night thinking about how I left that game unfinished for everybody. Even if nobody ever comes back to it, I still would have said, for myself and my own mind, and I know a lot of devs have this type of mentality, this is the type of industry that you kind of have to have that mentality, I'd be like, nah, we're not doing this. We're not going out like this. We're not having Redfall unfinished on our list of games. That's not going to happen. So I'm really happy that they did this. We gave them all the smoke. We criticized, what needed to be criticized about the launch. And, I'm just happy that they finished it off. And again, my way of saying, hey, I appreciate what you guys have done here. This is kind of the stuff that we asked you to get done and fix. That you're doing this, I'm going to go back and give it a fair shake. I'm going to go try it. Mav and I and whoever else is going to jump in.
I'm jumping in for sure
this weekend. Absolutely. We want to check it out. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to give it a fair shot. And I love Arcane. So if I play the game and I don't lose time, I don't have any game breaking bugs, but the game's playing well, this is my type of game too. I love looting. I love shooting vampires. Steele and I were having a good time. We were laughing and all kinds of stuff. If they've improved upon that formula and just fixed all the other stuff, then I'm going to give this a fair shake, and I might wind up playing this game for a while, right? So I hats off to everybody. Again, Phil taking the shouldering the responsibility in his interviews, and then backing that up by saying finish this and giving Arcane the time to go radio silent and then come back out. Again, I see some people in the chat talking about the communication. Sure, there could have been better communication about what exactly was happening with Redfall. There has been a couple weird, odd things with Bethesda lately. And how they're communicating things. We were told we were getting a Fallout 4 current gen patch this summer. That hasn't happened yet. Now, I know a lot of people are bringing it up because we got so much to play. Who the hell cares about Fallout 4? But normally Bethesda is good about that stuff and is normally keeping their community up to date. So I have seen some slippage here, some quiet things that just go head scratchers. But hopefully this is the start of something. Now that Redfall's been patched once at least, they can move on to the DLC that they promised everybody. And maybe we get word on that Fallout 4 current gen patch, and Bethesda's on its way again. But yeah, hats off to them for getting this done. I'm happy it's here.
Yeah, I am too. For sure, because it's admirable to see a dev do that. Take all of that head on, take all of the venom they got right away, which is it's well documented. We don't really need to dive into that, and really just use that as fuel and actually make the game that should have been put out at the beginning. So I think it's an admirable thing. I think we got to give them all the credit and kudos. So yeah, that great topic, Pong. I don't know if you were we wrapped up on that one.
Yeah, no, we're wrapped up. Cool. We're good to go. We can get on to Fuzzy's Fuzzy's PhD.
Right? Well, I know why you guys are here. Let me get these super chats real quick. Right, this is why the 60 some odd people are here. They're actually here for just Fuzz's Forza.
Other Zinc, we already know where Sony and Naughty Dog's communication with factions is. I think you've heard on enough shows this week us talking about factions and Naughty Dog's terrible job about that. It's in the shitter, brother. We know that. We don't. Again, there's management issues over at Sony, Other Zinc. We know that. Jim Ryan's retiring. You can't say much more than that. So yeah, we know where all that's at right now.
Let me get to these quick super chats, and we're gonna let
numbers.
You rock.
Wait, hold on. What does Splendiference want? What does Splendiference want? The numbers on Redfall. What numbers on Redfall, Splen? He's all over me. Sorry, I don't mean to take
No,
over the
you're
show.
good.
Splin
You're
is
good.
all.
You're good.
I love Splin, but he's all over me right now. What numbers, Splin? What number are you talking about? The Steam numbers? Are you talking about the 66% increase, which was like 28 to
28,
60 something
or
something like
50
yeah,
yeah.
something like that? If that's what you're talking about on the
I don't-
Steam side of
yeah,
things,
I don't-
meh, whatever. Again, that doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I
If
don't
that's
care
what you're
about
talking about, that's what they were. Splin.
Yeah, so. let me get to these quick super chats. We got a $5. I know Junkie already left. He had a $5 super chat. He said, so visually does Elder Scrolls 6 need to far exceed Starfield? We'll get to that after the Forza stuff. If we have time, we'll get to that. If not, I'll tweet about it or something. I'm not sure. But thank you for the $5 super chat, Junkie. Then we got a $2 super chat from Spendiferous. He said, will Elder Scrolls 6 be 30 FPS? If so, that is a problem. Well, we'll get to that as well too. For sure. I just got to get through these. I'm sorry, everybody. We'll try and get to these questions if we can at the end. We got a $20 super chat. Thank you, Ray. He said, I'm glad to hear everything is good with the white people say. Thank you. Appreciate it, Ray. I appreciate that, bro.
I'm glad we're cool, Split.
Yeah. But so thank you. I appreciate that, Ray. She's doing well. She's resting right now. But thank you for the love and support, bro. Thank you so much. Another $5 super chat from Jax82, new face in the house. Haven't seen him, but appreciate you, man. Thank you for the $5. You said they delivered the 60 FPS run, really good. They handled communication on this was horrible. Pete was coming out months later, didn't really sit well. That's like you said, that's kind of, sometimes with the PR stuff, there's really no right or wrong. They were already in the hole anyway. What more could you say? You just need to get your ass in there and get it done.
And let's be real too, Starfield was taking up a lot of their attention, almost all of their attention at that time.
Phil said that.
They probably just let Redfall just sit quietly while the developers work. But again, it is different. Bethesda in the past has generally been open and communicated with their audience. So it was a little bit different this time, but Starfield was so gigantic that could have been part of the problem as well. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Obviously, it is what it is, but we're past that. Spilled milk. We got the patch.
Yeah. No, for sure. I just wanted to get those fuzz. Take it away, bro. Go ahead and rock. Do your thing, man.
Well, there just happened to be a little game that released into early access. What was it? Thursday midnight, called Forza Motorsport, which was about 6 years in the making from the last release, Motorsport 7. And I'll just start off by saying the improvements that they've made are tenfold in every foundational way, as far as the handling, the control of the car, the feel of the car, as far as the way it interacts with the curbing, interacts with off-track events, interacts with other cars, just the overall tweaks that you can do in the garage and so forth. They've drastically improved that as well. They did move to a career mode, where in the career mode, you don't use your earnings or winnings from races to modify the car. You use what's called car points. And those car points are earned from just basically driving the car around track. The better you take turns, any overtakes you take, you get bonus points. So the key thing you're going to want to do is make sure you do the practice before the race. That way you can get a few levels out of the car before the race even starts. Although they start you off, I think, usually with around 300 or 400 car points, which is enough to put an intake or maybe an exhaust or something along those lines, or even upgrade the brakes possibly. But originally, when they mentioned that career system, I thought it would be somewhat annoying. But in the career mode, it works fine. So in custom races, over time, especially if you're looking to build up a whole bunch of cars, it may get a little bit more frustrating as far as the grind. But the way the career mode is set up, where each race leads to you upgrading your car, leading to the next race, so that way your car is stronger. You're got practice time to get familiar with the track if you haven't been familiar with that track on previous Forzas and stuff like that. But there's this constant one more race kind of feel to the whole setup as far as their career mode with the leveling system. So that's where it isn't as annoying as I thought it would be. it just fits in with the whole move to basically build your car that's more personal to you. Now, yes, you're going to probably at some point choose a car that you could care less about. Like you might not be into, you know, older foreign cars or older pony cars or sedans or something like that. But they have enough variety as far as the different modes and different events where you're going to get exposure to a couple of different cars. So you won't be able to quite pick just one car and race all the races. You are going to get a few cars, especially if you have the early access and got the car packs. You're going to get at least a car for each one of the starting events. May not be your first car of choice, but you'll at least have one that can at least start you off, and you can earn some, winnings from the races, and then, if you want, buy your own car of choice, or with the cash that I think they start you off with like a half mil. You can go ahead and buy probably just about any car in the game, which the good thing about this, unlike certain other sim racers, the prices of the cars are within reason. So it's not like there's this um, auction house where cars are going for like 20 mil and stuff like that, or at least any cars that I've seen just yet. Now I haven't purchased all of them yet, or looked at every last car, but most cars that in other games would be several mil or in the several 100,000 range. So it's a lot more obtainable for some of the cars you would expect. Now some of the top tier exotic cars, I'm pretty sure they're going to be a bit pricier, but most stuff that I saw was under 400,000. Um, as far as for what you would expect for like $1 million race car. And when it came to most of your street cars, except for the high performance, were under like the 80,000 mark. So you can get, your BMW, or you can get your Camaro or Mustang or something like that for under that, unless you want like the ZL1 or one of the supercharged high po ones. Then those are going to be 6-figure cars at that point. But overall, it reintroduces you to, I guess, if you're a car enthusiast, it reintroduces you to what cars you love and the things you love about those cars. Everything from whether it's the stock exhaust note, the squealing of the tires, and that's another key thing. Like with cornering or just any movement on the track, the tires, the feedback you get in your controller, or if you're using the steering wheel, the feedback you get gives you a better sense of where your front tires are tracking, how much you're at the limit or about to cross over the limit while cornering, and you're able to feel that car basically digging into the track or being in the track. And they've added other effects where the track is allowed to rubber in. So as the rubber from your car, as well as the other AI cars, go around the track, it's leaving rubber on the actual track, which makes it, at least on dry conditions, much easier to navigate the turn. So as your tires are wearing, they're wearing into the track, but that's also going to help the grip, unless it's like extremely hot that day, or unless it's like a rainy day where the rain will make that rubbering a little bit slicker at that point. So you'll have to be on your P's and Q's. But they've improved every aspect of the handling and the feel of the game. Now, visually, they've also improved it dramatically. Now, there are a few, blemishes or glitches at this point that they will need to polish up a little bit. One of the ones where it doesn't tell you to do this, but if you do pick performance ray tracing, you're going to want to go ahead and restart your console. Close the app, restart the console. Even though they don't tell you to do it, much like you've had to do in Forza Horizon, anytime you do like from performance to ray tracing or fidelity or anything like that, whenever you switch a mode, it's probably best to go ahead and restart the console, so that way you don't get some of the blurriness that you may have seen on some of the social media posts with replays and things like that. For whatever reason, without the restart, it gives everything like a dull, hazy look. But once you reboot it, you'll see what the ray tracing and all the or the performance mode is supposed to look like in its correct form. So some of those bad pics that you've seen on the internet are probably people that haven't restarted the console. Now, there are some issues with painted calipers if they're aftermarket, or painted wheels. And I've had mixed results between stock wheels and aftermarket wheels. And I'm hoping that they fix that hopefully by the main launch, or if not sooner. But you'll notice some weirdness at when the wheels are at speed. But those are just the visual issues. But if you look at the overall picture as far as how the car looks, either from the chase view or in car view, they've definitely stepped up their game. Like what we saw in like the uh, uh, developer directs and things like that was just, I mean, unless you watched it in 4K on YouTube, was just like the tip of the iceberg kind of thing. They've the interiors are vastly improved. The reflections that you see off of the window or the windshield, or even looking through the mirrors, the bounce lighting that you see on the A pillars, the bounce lighting you see on the dash or around the shifter, or the bounce lighting that you'll see when, like, if the track has some moisture, or if it was like it was drizzling earlier or something like that, you'll see the color transfer on the track, or color transfer to other cars, and things like that. You'll also see like some of the specular lighting, whether it's coming through the trees or night races where you cut across somebody's headlights and you're casting a shadow that you can see, and still have your headlights function but still see the glow, or some of the aura of the lights from behind you and stuff like that. So all of that is like eye candy. Now, I haven't even tried it on PC yet. Just seeing this on Series X, it is, I would say, tenfold better than what it was for Motorsport 7. And then when you compare it to games like GT7, if they could do ray tracing on track, I would say this still gives a crisper look in comparison to what they've done on their side of things. Now, for those that want to go into the GT7 versus Motorsport, my big things are Motorsport is better as far as, for me, the feel of racing as far as on track, uh, and the visuals as far as from the chase view or in car view, overall as far as while racing. Now, I still give a slight nod to GT7 on replays, and it's only because they've, even though the replays for Motorsport have definitely improved compared to, previous Motorsports and things like that. There's just something about the camera choices that GT7 uses for certain tracks that I like just a smidge better, because it looks more like the broadcast, style of camera positioning. Now, like I said, Turn 10 has gotten better in their choices, especially like for Watkins Glen, and what was it? Road America was another good one, where some of the driving when you're going downhill, or you have a pack coming downhill to a turn, the camera choices are of the utmost. But just a slight nod there to GT7 for their camera work, but that's on replay. But as far as the feel for racing, it's it's almost like a night and day thing. And I know a lot of people see the replays of GT7 where it has kind of that glidey effect where it looks like the track moves and the car doesn't. You can do some adjustments to kind of fix it to make it have that simulated car, twisting or torsioning going through the turns and stuff like that. But out of the box, Motorsport has always given you more communicative views of how the car is pitching or angling into the turn, whether it's the chase view or how you can see the nose pitching up and or stuff like that. Before you slam the nose down from hitting the brakes and stuff going into the turn, you always get a better sense of what the car is doing. It I won't say that it makes it more predictable, but more controllable, and it's easier to recognize when you've missed your brake point, or when you've either overheated the brakes, or basically you've hit the brakes a little bit too soon, but then you can like undercut maybe a car that's on the inside or the outside. But overall, drastic improvement over previous motorsport. Enjoying every bit of it. For those that were concerned about the car leveling system, key thing is practice. Definitely run the practice times. Don't just skip them. Yeah, normally you want to just get to racing and things like that, but if you want to help level up the car, you can usually get 5 levels in a practice session, and then probably at least another 3 to 5 in most of the races. So after a full race, what would be like a race weekend, you should be able to get 10 levels. So do about 4 or 5 of those, and you should be able to get that car close to 35 to 45 range at least. But overall, let me see if there's I haven't looked at any questions here, but
Yeah, what do y'all want to know? Because Fuzz is an open book. Like, let's be honest. Like, this is the expert on the panel today. Me and Pong are taking a back seat in this particular. So I mean, Pong probably has something to say. He's been playing it for a while too. But like, y'all have any questions regarding, just your experience in Forza, like any tuning question, anything like that? I'm sure Fuzz or even Pong probably be more than willing to answer those questions. Pong, I don't know if you were gonna get to him next.
Yeah.
Fuzz, anyway. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I know Pong has played it, and I've seen his drive guitar, and it's fun trying to pass him, except for when he brake checks me in the corner. So. They definitely changed the drive guitar system, so it's not quite modeled as much as it used to be. Off of the other player, it's more AI driven or machine learning.
Machine learning,
like that.
Correct? Yeah.
But it's still fun seeing people on your friends list, names on over the cars and stuff like that. I make sure it shows the names, although I wish I could figure out how to get that to work on the replays though. But Pong, for the time you've had with it so far, because I've heard some things that made you put another game down that everyone was expecting. But so far for your time with Forza, what are some of the key things that you enjoy with it right now?
Everything you just said, Fuzz. I kind of started with my intro with my Forza talk a little bit here. I put out an early tweet when I first started playing it in New Zealand that I had, every time a Forza comes out, I go buy the Evo 8. Whatever Evo 8 they have, I buy. And the reason why is because I owned one in real life. I owned one for 14 years. I bought it brand new. I was lucky enough to be able to order one back in 2003. Brand new, owned it for 14 years, put over 230,000 miles on it. I know what an Evo drives like. Okay. That's one thing I could tell you. Out of all the cars in that list, there's only a couple I could probably tell you about that I've driven in real life, but that's one I know the best, right? So I always test Forzas out by doing that because I always like to see, because I can tell how, I can just, as much as you can through a controller, Fuzzy, we both know it's not ever going to replace driving a car, but as much as you can tell, there are certain aspects. And with all the physics changes that they talked about, all the new points of contact, all the suspension work they did, all of these, what sometimes in the game development is a lot of market speak. I knew if I pulled out the Evo, I'd be able to see some differences if there were any. So I went and bought that car, and I bought the Evo 8 MR, which is, it's an 04. It's a little bit spicier than my original 03, 08, but not by much. It's pretty much the same car. So I played for 2 hours in a stock Evo 8 MR. And that's where my mind kind of got blown, Fuzzy, because they've always done a very good job. That's why I've always considered them the kings of racing ever since probably Forza 2. I've considered them the kings of racing. They overtook Gran Turismo for me personally then, is because how well they have simulated that stuff. But the just like you said, and that's why I said I agree with like almost all your points, Fuzzy, the night and day difference in the feel and the response of the cars on track at all points, whether it's from the start, whether it's coming into a corner and braking, whether it's on a straightaway flat out, they have improved every single aspect of that system. This new engine is doing this better than any other game I've ever experienced when it comes to racing. So when I got in that Evo and I played for 2 hours, man, my smile just got bigger and bigger and bigger as I played, because I was putting it through different tracks. I was in free play. I was trying it out in different weather scenarios in the rain. I could feel the all-wheel drive. I could feel the body roll like I used to do in the Evo, right? That thing handles like it's on rails when you're going through tight corners, right? It has a Jeep Wrangler, it's got a Jeep Cherokee turning radius, but in corners, that thing is lightning quick, especially on cutbacks and that kind of stuff, quickbacks. I was putting it through the paces and I was just like, oh my God, they did it. Hitting curbs felt like I was hitting curbs. The way that the car reacted when I had one wheel on the grass versus, being all on track. All of that stuff, the acceleration, everything, the way the gears were shifting, all of that. And then on top of it, I had it on my TV speakers at first. I'm an audiophile, but I'm not such a purist that I need to hear everything all the time. Sometimes I'm just lazy and I just want to sit in front of the TV. I don't care about headphones or anything like that. But I was listening to my fake surround sound that my OLED does, of course, and it was impressed. I was impressed. I was like, you know what? I'm picking up sounds. I'm like, let me try the headphones. I put the headphones on, Fuzz. And my God, the quality of the sound upgrade as well, which is already, again, very good in Forzas. But with the spatial audio that they have done in this game and the work that I know for a fact, they put extra time and effort into the engine sounds, getting those recorded on more and different vehicles, because I could tell when I was in a race and I knew the cars around me, I could tell the individual cars by the engine sounds sometimes coming up on me. That is, and again, that's a car guy, right? That's me knowing certain things, right? They've always done a great job. Like I said this in other podcasts, and I think Fuzzy would agree. Like they always put extra time into the Ferraris, into the Lambos, into the exotics. They're always giving extra special attention. Like you can hear those V8s, you can hear the V12, you can hear all that. The 4 cylinders and stuff, the turbos, all that kind of stuff, they could all sound kind of similar in a lot of ways. That they didn't have those individual notes that certain cars with certain types of exhausts have. But holy cow, in this game, no. I could tell my Evo, I could hear my Evo's exhaust just like it used to sound when I was driving it. I could hear the turbo kicking in just like I used to hear. I could hear all of that, but then I could hear all these other cars around me. And I was like, oh, I know what car that is coming up on me. I know where that is. That also I got to give kudos. And then finally, and I talked about this too, is we talked about this before, the replay. I've always said Gran Turismo obviously is king of replays. Their replay camera system, and Fuzzy, you described it best, not to steal your stuff because you're right here, but you described it best, and it's something that I've always thought about too, is that Polyphony seems to have just taken hours of footage from actual races on TV and just flat out copied every single TV angle that they have in racing, right? And they've perfected that. It looks, every time you post a YouTube video, Fuzzy, I kid you not, I see your name and I see you posting a YouTube video. But when I first click on that video and it's a Gran Turismo replay, it tricks me. And I think you just posted racing footage from some race that happened today, like on real life, right? It tricks me for a minute. Like, that's how good it is. And I've always said that I would love to see Turn 10 and the Forza team come up in the replay. They have done work. Are they up to Gran Turismo? No, there's still some angles missing. There's still some little slight things with the lighting and some of the reflections and stuff as cars are coming. But they have done work. They have improved to the point where I enjoy. I used to go back through replays to kind of see where I screwed up in corners, kind of see what was going on. But I'd be fast forwarding, rewinding, because I really didn't care to watch the rest of the race. I'd get to those points and just want to see those certain points. I now, just like when I used to play Gran Turismo all the time, find myself watching almost full-length races back again because I'm enjoying what I'm seeing on the screen. It gets me excited like I'm watching real racing, and I'm just so impressed. They've done a lot of work in that replay area too, which is not something everybody picks up on, but I think it needs to be shouted out. It's not perfect. It's not up to Gran Turismo level, but they did get a whole lot closer with this one, and I wanted to give them flowers for that. So those are some of my main points of what's really stood out to me right now.
Oh, and by the way, I will be posting some Forza pics as soon as they fix the painted wheel thing, because it looks
Yeah.
weird when I have a
Yeah.
car that's supposed to have dark wheels, and they
Hmm.
when they start spinning they turn silver.
They got to
But
work on their
yeah,
photo
there was
mode
a
too,
couple of
Fuzzy.
races in the there was a couple of races in the rain where I just love how they have like the water spray, which normally a lot of places will just have like a general spray, but no, you can tell when the tire is starting to slip and the spray changes direction or changes the amount, or when the tires lock up and the spray goes to like almost like a puddle form kind of thing. So
Yes.
they've definitely narrowed down on a lot of finite details as far as gotten a lot of things that you didn't normally see, as far as whether it's track debris, grass flying, things like that. They've stepped up even the particle effects and things along those lines. But I would say the biggest thing that gets me is that if this is going to be like the platform, they started off very strong. Now, yes, Boba was saying in the chat earlier, they don't have Bathurst, which is there's a couple of tracks like Brands Hatch, Bathurst, full Nürburgring, but I mainly race on the GP circuit anyway. But not having those at launch, not having Daytona at launch was a little bit of a disappointment. But having so many other tracks that no other game has at this moment, like the Mid Ohio, like Road America, like well, GT7 has Watkins Glen, but and they also have Laguna Seca, but they have a lot more of like a lot more road courses. My mind's going to blank right now as far as some of the names of the tracks, but it's just fun. Like VIR, like racing over at VIR and a few other tracks. It's so much fun finally getting back to those. Like I used to race a lot of those on Motorsport 7, but I probably put Motorsport 7 down as my primary a year or so ago and kind of moved over to just doing GT7 until Forza came out. But now I think it's going to be the other way around, where I'm going to be hitting those tracks a lot more. But PTK, I know you're not really into like racers and things like that, but is there a chance, like are you a car guy at all, or is there a certain type of car that you like, whether it's muscle cars or tuner cars or exotic cars?
I'm not the biggest car racing guy, but I appreciate it though. Like I still see what Turn 10's doing. You know what I mean? I can still
Yeah.
appreciate what they've done, the quality, the improvement over time. Like I still love to hear you guys that are car guys, like you, Pong, a lot of people in chat, Boba, break down the more intricate things that I don't really, things that I probably wouldn't even catch or notice. So, but I do see the improvement over time. Don't get it messed up. I still love video games, so I still have
Mhm.
gone and watched some people playing Forza on Twitch. I've watched it on my phone on YouTube, a couple walkthroughs, just general reviews and impressions of the game. And a lot of what you're saying is what a lot of people have said as far as some of those key points, of improvement. Like you said, how the track feels, how the car feels on the track. You know what I mean? Like consistency. It's not as
Yeah.
random as it used to be as far as materials versus track versus different things like that. So I can appreciate that stuff without being a super big car guy. So I
Mhm.
still want to give Turn 10 all of their flowers for
Yeah.
making a phenomenal game and doing what they kind of always do and just turning the notch up again. Turn 10 is a studio I almost never worry about. Like them, Playground, I don't really ever worry about them doing anything too crazy. Now, I understand, you guys are way more into this than I am. So there are some things that obviously some changes that they made that aren't that isn't universally praised, but for the
Yeah.
most part the game's always going the right direction by and large, and
Yeah.
I think that's the key thing, you know what I mean? So I'm impressed by what I've seen, the footage, the destruction. The one thing I do want to ask about is you guys mentioned the AI earlier, so no,
Mhm.
it's not really based on tendencies anymore.
Yeah,
No.
it like before, I guess there were enough complaints where certain people were purposely wrecking other people, and then their
Oh, I see what
drivatar
you're saying.
would do the same or similar stuff. So they've kind of done away with that, and it's now like machine learning. So
That makes
AI are
sense.
now, yeah. So now AI is kind of taking over, but there's there used to be rubber banding where it would
Yes.
purposely give
I was just gonna
boosts
say that
to the players or to the AI, drivers.
Yeah.
It seems like there's still a little boost for the top three cars, but it's nowhere near as apparent as it used to be. Like
Mm-hmm.
before, you would have a car that would have 100 more horsepower, and the other car is walking you, and they're heavier. And there's no way that it would beat you down the straight line, but
Yeah.
somehow it's pulled away after that corner until like the last lap to kind of make things tighten up at the end of the race, kind of thing. With this, it seems like the top three AI are like, I won't say the best driving AI, but as close to it until at least till you get to pass them. But it does give that much more of a challenge for like when you do get into those top three, because in real racing, as you get closer to the front of the pack, it's going to be harder and harder to pass. So they made it so those top three are going to be the hardest to catch and the hardest to pass. But once you do, I wish they had it where there was a little bit more fight back or a little bit more challenge. But all in all, it's a drastic improvement over the AI from before, because before the AI would all bunch up at the first turn and then they would go single file. It would be like a log jam. Now, you do sometimes get log jams because they will spin each other out. It looks
it's bad.
it looks a little more natural this time, although there is what I call the Forza glue that will happen where sometimes you'll make contact with another car and you just can't get off of them. But then again, you see that in real racing where two cars will basically be like
it just happens more often.
Yeah.
It's not natural here. But yeah, I was gonna real quick, Fuzzy, while you're on the AI stuff and talking about all this, that was one of their dev diaries, right? When they were deep diving it, one of their Forza talks was about how they made the AI with the machine learning so that they could get rid of that rubber banding. Now, to your point, could it still be happening slightly? I'm sure we'll have somebody break down videos, because there was people who broke it down and showed how much of an advantage that AI was giving in the older Forzas. I'm sure somebody will do it here too and just kind of prove whether or not this is real. But in their dev talk, they did say basically that the leaders, they have them program that machine learning to take the best lines possible. Now, always there's a certain percentage of failure within that AI, right? And it can screw up, but they are designed to take some of the best lines possible so that it is more of a natural lead versus just a fake made up lead because they boosted them all the time, right? And you just have to be that much better in your own driving. And I think that's what the other part about this Forza, and Mav talked about this and you've talked about this, Fuzzy, is it does make you want to get better with the new systems that they put in. And it wants to not only against yourself, but then you realize that AI up ahead is that much better. You got to be in the 8s and 9 ratings through those corners to start making ground on that AI up in the front, which I think is a little carrot. And it does, for those of us that are driving purists that love driving, that is something that makes this game a little bit special too when you get up to that point.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's that's part of the whole thing that makes this more enjoyable or more fun than I think. But even though I enjoyed the crap out of Motorsport 7, this has more of a hook in me as far as getting down to those last three with like maybe 1 or 2 laps to go, and it's like, all right, I got to make up 0.4 of a second, and like I'm like 2 car lengths away, and you don't want to just ram them off the track or anything, but you want to get as close as you can to them, and then hopefully you beat them coming out of the turn, whether you cut under them or you're able to get door to door to them, and then just stay off of them coming out of that turn, and at least try to get far enough away where you can get in front of them, type of deal. And it's just that adrenaline at that point it's really kicking in. But
I don't know if you saw did you see that I posted, Fuzzy, in the 190 in the Mercedes that I bullied that dude in the corner? I set him up perfect on the straightaway and I was drafting him and I hit the corner perfect, broke late into the corner and cut him off. So he had to back out. It was amazing. And like you just said, the adrenaline rush, I actually posted 3 different separate videos from different camera angles because I had to go back. It felt so good and rewatch it over from different camera angles. You're absolutely spot spot on with that. It's a beautiful moment right there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I gotta definitely check that out. I've been so busy playing the
Yeah,
game.
I know.
I'm actually playing the game and painting some of my cars, so you will see some cars with stripes and no numbers yet, but I got at least the number boards on the cars. But yeah, I definitely gotta check that out. But man, they definitely gave us an awesome platform. I'm looking forward to their track cadence or content cadence. It sounds like we're going to get a track every month and cars every or events every week, cars every month, and tracks every month. But the number of cars is probably going to be, if it's anything like on Horizon, we'll probably get somewhere around 10 cars between, I'll say between 5 and 10 a month, and one track. Oh man, my voice. Hold on one sec. Sorry about that. No, but
That's all right.
we'll probably get at least one track a month, and at least I would say 5 cars a month, as far as like rewards from doing either online events or like new like championship events and things like that that they'll probably add to the career. And then there's probably going to be additional track layouts, which they had track layouts that I didn't even know existed. Like Laguna Seca has a short track which actually takes I guess you would say it would be turn 2 to like turn 5 and connects them to kind of cut down on that inner loop type of deal. But yeah, they definitely gave us a awesome starting platform. Could have had more cars, sure, but 500 that are there, I'm not wanting for any right now that stand out to me just yet. Um, as far as for the tracks, yeah, there's a handful of tracks I'll be anxiously awaiting. Like Daytona is definitely one of them. Brands Hatch and Bathurst are another two. But the tracks that are in there, and the fact that some of their, like, I'm not a big fantasy track guy. Like Maple Valley is not really my jam, but Grand Rock is pretty cool. And I guess it's pronounced Hakone or Hakone. That one isn't bad. It kind of reminds me of Yas Marina, which actually I think is the next track that they're adding either later this month or next month in their content cadence. But yeah, it's definitely worth a try, whether you're a car enthusiast or not. If you're an arcade racer, there is so much in the tweaking aspects as far as settings where you can make this as easy of an arcade experience to all the way to full on sim. Although I do notice a slight glitch with steering on a controller right now if you're doing quick switchback. So quick left, quick right. Just give it like an extra tap to the right or something like that, or extra tap to the left, because it seems like it locks the wheel at center. And sometimes I wind up going off track. But outside of that, the range of wheel compatibility, the range of controller compatibility, and adjustments or tweaks available are astounding. Like they definitely went all out to make sure a wide variety of wheels are supported, and they definitely upped their game as far as tweaking some of the dead space as far as the throttle or the brake or even steering and stuff like that. So definitely get hands on, give it a try. It may not hook you, but I would say after those first couple of races for the intro, which by the way, it's not like a 8 minute or 11 minute movie. It's actually like a quick, showing of cars, and then you're right into a race within like 3 minutes, I think, or within 2 minutes or something. So awesome start to the game, but definitely happy. Now, the only reason why I'm not giving it a full on 90 or something like that is just a few like little bugs that I wish they would have polished before release. But as of right now, I'm giving it a full 88. But like I said, painted wheels, painted calipers, the controller issue I'm having right now, just on certain turns, is the only negatives. 2 crashes out of probably 30 plus hours I think I have in the game right now. So, but I think they know about they know about that one crash where it's like if you paint a car, buy a car, paint it, then go to buy another car and paint it or something like that. I think it wigs out when you buy too many cars in a row or something. But all in all, awesome game. definitely an improvement over Motorsport 7, and I think I found my new favorite racer again. To finally put GT7 down for the 2,200 hours I have in it. Yeah, it's going to be on rest for a good bit now. I've rambled enough. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man. That's what the people are here for. Fuzz, what are you talking about? That's why everybody's still sticking around, man. They had to get the Forza stuff in, man. But yeah, like he said, we got a great breakdown on that. Go play the game. Obviously, it's in Game Pass, unless you want all of the extra bells and whistles. Go make the purchase to bump that up to the premium version. But yeah, great game, man. Great show today as well, too, man. Great topics. We had all you guys were rocking out with us. I think we're gonna go ahead and just wrap it up on that note, man. You guys have been phenomenal.
Real
Go
quick,
ahead.
too, PTK Gogo Poe asked in the chat,
Sure,
and Fuzzy, you
sure.
can jump in on this one too. He just asked real quick if there's a big difference in this motorsport between front wheel, all wheel, and rear wheel. Absolutely, 1,000%. Again, the points of contact, which they changed on the tire, the number of points of contact, the suspension work that they've done, redoing all those physics. It is now more than ever noticeable when you're driving those. And Fuzzy, I'll let you touch on the tire pressure a little bit too, because even with the tire pressure differences, that accentuates those different setups even more so in the vehicles. Absolutely 1,000% Gogo Poe from my opinion.
Oh yeah, you definitely will feel a difference as far as between front wheel, rear wheel, and all wheel. My preference has always been rear wheel because it looks like not looks, but I always love the fact that you can also turn the wheel by hitting the gas more kind of thing. So, drift it out. Well, not really drift, but, more power and out of the turn and stuff. But the big thing is with tire pressure and the tire compounds that they've added, the fact that you can adjust the tire pressure, and sometimes it seems like it's counterintuitive
really
to lower the pressure, but you wind up like it will take heat and actually build up. But having that lower pressure will give you a little bit added grip. So if you're looking to do like the first couple of laps, because sometimes you'll see the tires be blue when you're basically doing a cold start. And then as they warm up, they'll start to glow yellow or orange, depending on how much, you're really pushing them. And if you're pushing them too much, they're going to go full on orange. I haven't gotten them red yet, but the tire compounds, soft is definitely the way to go if you want extra grip. Medium is like that good balance overall. And then the hard compound, anything with minimal turning or a lot of long straights, go with the harder compound because it'll help more so with acceleration and overall wear and tear. But I love the fact that they have that, added into the game and added into the mix of, control and tuning of the car, as well as, the rubbering of the track and stuff like that. All of those definitely give you a more precise feel, like what you would expect if you went to a track day in your car type of thing. So definitely a noticeable difference.
Awesome. Glad to hear, man. That's what I'm talking about, though. Just like the game's always going in the right direction for by and large, right? There's small things here and there, but by and large, majority of the time, everything usually is improving, and that's the most impressive thing to me about Turn 10 as a whole. Hell, even Playground, when it comes to Forza Horizon, is that generally majority of the game is usually getting improved. So you can't say that for a lot of companies, a lot of devs out there that have been making the same game for as long as those two have. That's extremely, extremely impressive. So go check it out, you guys. Obviously Forza is a pillar of Xbox. Go play the game, man. Just let us know how you guys think. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up tonight, man. It was a phenomenal show. Just three amigos rocking out tonight. Nobody came through, but it's all good. We appreciate everybody that stopped through tonight, man. Once again, on your way out, hit the link, let everybody know. The Shop Podcast is the place on Saturday to come get all your good gaming talk, subscribe, do all of that good stuff. You know what to do. But let me go ahead and get around a panel, so we can go ahead and get our quick outros and let you guys go for the rest of your evening. Pong, another phenomenal show, bro. A great, great, great show. I really enjoyed this. I needed this, bro, especially after yesterday. I'm sure it's good to be with my brothers, be around love, be around this awesome community, but let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
Yeah, it was fantastic to be back after 2 weeks off. Like I said, that was crazy. I've never done that here in the Shop Podcast, and it felt weird, and I missed you guys so much. I missed talking all the news. It was great to get back on a Saturday night at my favorite place, my favorite way to end it, with the two of my favorite people in the entire world right here. And of course, everybody in the chat, my favorite community members, all showing up, showing out, giving us love, and having good conversations in there as well. Fantastic way to end my week. So thank you all for that. Nothing but love and respect to everyone out there. You guys know the drill by now. It's Pong Soul at the X formerly known as Twitter. It is Pong Soul on Xbox. Follow me. I will follow you back. Otherwise, next week starts all over again, right? But always Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, the man, every day, 5 days a week. The man is a machine, but Tuesdays still got a special place for me, even if I'm not on there. Xbox Factor Podcast, all good things green, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Join that crew there every Tuesday. Thursday nights is when it begins over on the Fun Speculation Network. PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM. That's right. Me and Mav, we had a 4-hour show this week. Steele and I had a 5-hour show. I love the people here, man. We could just talk forever. Like, I know PTK ends his shows right around 2 hours. If we really wanted to keep going, we could keep going. That's what I love about this community, man. I love everybody in it because we'd have all these great conversations. But join PM in the PM every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, Fun Speculation Network. And then, of course, on Friday nights, it's back over there for Xbox Ultimate, where we get wild. We get crazy. Last night was no different, Fuzz, was it? We went off on side tangents last night. We had a full 45 minutes of food talk last night. Yeah, it was a foodie show last night. Somehow, some way, it wound up on that conversation. But we did talk a lot of gaming in between there as well. Game Pass Dad showed up after his comedy show. So again, it's always a good time on Friday nights. Lots of laughs, lots of game talk. Be there 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. And then, of course, Saturday mornings, Steel, Rain, and I, my brother from another. Shout out to Steel. That man has been putting in the same amount, if not more time than Fuzzy. He is back falling in love with Forza. He is a sim guy through and through. He loves what they've done with Forza. We had a nice big long conversation about that. We had a Steel Factions rant this morning on Living Split Screen. We went 5 hours. It's always 3+ hours every Saturday when we can do it. Generally speaking, we're right around 4. So be there every Saturday. Next Saturday, Living Split Screen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. If you're there for 5 minutes or you're there the whole time, does not matter. Drop in, say hi. We love you for it. And then God willing, I'll be back here next weekend for another Shop podcast right here. Same time, same place. It's the golden age of gaming, people. I'm telling you, it is the golden age of gaming. There has never been a time where I have felt so overwhelmed by the amount of games. There are literally games that I would normally be playing a lot of right now that I'm just sitting there going, maybe 2024, maybe. Like, I'm just blown away right now. So get out there, enjoy the rest of your weekend, play what you love what you play, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Thank you, PTK.
Appreciate you, bro. And you guys know where to find Pong. Hit him up on X. All of that information is down in the description below. Thank you, Pong. I missed you, bro. Last 2 weeks, man. The energy, you definitely is palpable. We can tell when you're not around, brother. That need that extra boost, man. But appreciate you. Thank you. You like my brother. Love you so much, man. But once again, go follow Pong. You know what's going on with him. Always busy, always active, man. And we're gonna throw this over to my other brother, my other right hand man, Fuzz Belvedere, man. I appreciate you, bro. Another great show. Got the Forza stuff off. I think the people got their fix for now. They're gonna need more videos. This only lasts for like 48 hours. Then you need to put out more content. So you got a little bit of a break right now. But I appreciate you coming through, bro. I love you so much. You know everything you do for me personally, and just all the well wishes and things like that. But let everybody know where they can find you, bro.
Oh man, it was just so awesome being on here with you guys and getting to talk cars and Forza and stuff like that. It's always awesome doing that, and also just talking about good games in general, like Starfield and stuff like that. Man, this, like, Pong always says, golden age of gaming. Yeah, it's now starting to, I wouldn't say it's becoming a problem, but it's definitely getting difficult here. Playing all these games and sorting through them with all the stuff constantly coming out now. But always good being here with you fine gentlemen and everyone in the chat. Thank you guys for coming out and joining us. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related and possibly see some Forza video clips that I'm gonna try to post here on the app formerly known as Twitter. Just follow me at Fuzzy_Belvedere. Also on YouTube, Fuzzy Belvedere, all one word together. But always great being with you guys. Man, this is after this, right back to Forza, but always enjoy the time with you guys. It's just so much. So glad being here.
Appreciate you, man. Well, you guys know what to do. You know, you guys, if you don't want that Forza footage, let Fuzz know. Get in them DMs. Let Fuzz know, hey, we need that Forza footage. So holla at him. But I appreciate you, Fuzz. You know how special you are and what you mean to me and my family and just everybody here at the Shop Podcast, all of the people in chat and things. So we appreciate you, bro, every single week. Super consistent. Thank you, bro. Thank you so much, man. But last but not least, your boy, the host of the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam. I just want to say once again, thank you guys. I needed this today. You know, it's a very, very, very like stressful week. So thank you guys for showing up and everybody showing out like you always do. Thank you for all of the super chats and the well wishes. You know, I just can't repay you guys in any way, shape, or form. So we're just going to continue trying to put on the best show that we possibly can every week. So come back and see us. All the new people, subscribe, hit the like button. It really does help. I know all content creators ask for it because it helps. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, man, for lending us your ears. Same time, same place next week. We'll probably have a guest 2, maybe 3 next week. You never know. So I got some things in the oven right now. So if you guys want somebody particular on the show, my DMs are always open. Just hit me up on X, you know, hit me up on Xbox Live. Follow me there as well too. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. Go play some games. I'm going to jump into this Redfall here pretty soon as well. So that's what I'll be playing probably tonight, trying to get a good feeling for it. But yeah, enjoy your weekend, man. See you guys next week. Peace out, everybody.
Later.